Hello everyone. Welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. We are taking today the PMDG 737-800 in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 for a flight from here in Johannesburg down to Port Elizabeth, which is a fairly short flight but some nice views, and it's quite a popular route, especially amongst tourists, as a lot of tourists will fly into Johannesburg and then head further south for their safaris. So that's what we're going to do today in this Fly Sapphire, I should say, 737-800 in this fantastic livery. I only recently discovered this airline, but it is remarkable how similar its colours are to my channel, so I'm very happy to find it and get to use it. This is a special cricket-based livery, so it's slightly different to their normal one, which is pure pink and blues, as we like on the channel. But there we go. I don't think it's too far off what I was hoping for. So yeah, really should be a good bit of fun. I'm looking forward to this one. We haven't flown the 737 live on the channel in a long time. So if there's anyone new watching, I'm a real world pilot. I fly the Boeing 777 at the moment. I've previously flown the 787 and the A320, and the 737 sort of sits in a special zone because it's in many ways older than any of those, and it is always fun to fly it, but there is always a lot more for me to do than I remember. So we'll see how we do today. But yeah, nice bright livery, lovely weather, lovely sunny day for our flight down south, so I'm looking forward to it. Jumping into chat, thank you all for coming along. Booty2, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Dougal as well, thanks for coming along and moderating. I am indeed on VATSIM. The Cloudbot should pop into live. I'm just reactivate it for you to see if I can trick it into answering any questions that come. Any questions at the route as well, if anyone's planning to fly along. Yeah, there we go. Dougal is planning to fly along as Speedbird 322. Excellent. Mika, good to see you. Really good to see you as well. And Financial Code, hope you're doing well in New York. Arnes, good to have you here as well. Wide Rumble, great to see you as well. Been a while, yeah, great to have you here. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for joining us. Lloyd, Waf, and Helex, it's great to have you all here as well. Frank says, hi, it's after midnight in Asia, so just want to drop by to say hello before I knock myself out. Yes, you have a good night, and thank you very much for stopping by. And yeah, of course, the stream will be available on YouTube afterwards. So there we go. I think we've got chase plane running. We've actually got Flight Simulator 2024 is coming into a bit of a league of its own finally. So we've got PMDG 737-800. We've got Boris Sound Pack. We've got chase plane. We've got all the add-ons. We've got loads of add-ons running today. So hopefully it will be a nice flight, because it's finally, I don't feel like I'm missing anything by being in 2024. It's taken a while and I've still got problems with it, but this is a good place anyway. So let's jump into the flight deck and have a look. We'll do cold and dark, which is something we haven't done for a long time either on the channel. That one guy, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, so cold and dark, it's not something we don't see in long-haul airplanes very often, and it brings me to my first glitch I need to talk about in 2024. If you do cold and dark, make sure you load in with the aircrafts, and if you have any hardware, make sure your master switches are off, because I found that Flight Simulator 2024 is quite happy to run the engines even when they shouldn't be. And it looks like I'm also only got one throttle working, which is a bit disappointing, because I know I have those set up correctly. So we shall see if once we power it up that will work a bit better. So there we go. First problem of the day, but we shall manage. Right, so aircraft is set up and we have our Simbury flight plan, 1 hour 23 flight, but you know, it'll take a bit of time because we're cold and dark, and then we'll maybe do a nice visual approach at the other end or something. It's a very nice airport to head into. And if we go to the aircraft, we can actually run the PMDG checklist as well, because we've got a bit of time today. So I haven't done these for a long time. These are by far the longest checklists around. They're actually covering the flows, but I don't think there's many aircraft, especially from modern generations, that are as complicated as this one. Yeah, my throttles are completely frozen, so we'll see if we can get those working. Anyway, battery switch should be guarded closed, standby power guarded closed, alternate flaps guard closed. I don't even know actually where the alternate flaps is on this. It would be down here on a 777. But anyway, a lot of things to check that they are off, which they will say they are. The windshield wipers are also in park, which is good news. The electric hydraulic pumps should be off. So the electric pumps are in the middle here. They're in the off position. I do know that one at least. Landing gear lever down. This is a very familiar flow that we do on most aircraft. And we have the ground power available. Yep. Ground power on. Source off lights off. Source off lights are off. And the transfer bus light off. It is in the middle one there, and that is off. And standby power off. Do we need to do anything to standby power? I don't think we do on this airplane. The standby power is a weird switch. It existed on the 7576 family. It doesn't exist on the 73. I don't believe. Where's the standby power? I think we're fine here. You're going to watch me really struggle. Yeah, I'm only going to struggle slightly worse than this than I would on an A320 these days. And there we go. Anyway, right, electrical power up for APU power. We'll do the APU later. So, IRS mode selectors, they are up here. They are off. And I'll put them into nav. And they should start aligning themselves. And then we're going to go to DC lights on and off, which they've done. Align lights illuminate. I'm hoping they'll illuminate shortly. Anyway, we'll make sure that we have the PSEU lights, verify extinguished, yes. GPS lights, verify extinguished, yes. It is up here. Good, service instrument off, reverse lights extinguished. I mean, there's so many things you have to check up here. It's really crazy. Engine control light extinguished. EEC switches on. That's the electronic engine control, which is here. They're both on. And this is what I mean. This aircraft is so different to so many others. Hayden J. Robbins, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. It is quite remarkable. Landing gear lever shows down and 3 greens. That's working well. Flight deck recorder is closed. Guarded closed. It's off at the moment because, of course, the engines are off. We can do the stall warning tests. And number 1 and number 2. Let me know if you can't hear anything. I have had to adjust the sound slightly on my computer. Not sure why that's not running. I don't feel like it's aligning. Oh no, status 8 minutes. I think that's right. If that keeps counting down, I think we're in a good place. Good. And anyway, moving down. So I think that's all done. We've got enough. On the crew option, we don't have any pressure at the moment. Not sure why that is. What have I missed up here? Wow, this is really exposing my lack of knowledge on the 737. I sort of can get away with starting it up, but this is embarrassing actually. So engine control light extinguished, EEC switches on. We've done that. Passenger oxygen guard closed. Passenger oxygen on light extinguished. Yes. Landing gear indicator verified. Flight recorder. Mach airspeed. Hydraulic quantity. Engine oil quantity. Parking brake. CD pre-flight procedure. Okay. So I'm going to do the overhead panel now, and then we'll do the CDU, because that I think makes more sense. So flight control switches guard closed. So these are all guarded and closed. Low pressure warning lights illuminated. Yaw damper can come on. That's the one thing not to forget about here. Yaw damper light should go off, yes. Standby hydraulic switch. Low quantity light off. It's ridiculous, yeah. There's so much going on here. I think we're going to skip past some of this checklist, because it's just going to say a lot of double negatives, which is a very Boeing way to do. But as we move on, Dougal's getting in bad gateway error. That's a shame. VHF navigation in normal, IRS normal, FMC normal. Displays are in auto. Overhead panel both on 1. Should we put it to normal? Oh, it is in normal. Looks like it's not. But there we go. Fuel, reasonable temperature, and the fuel pumps. Does it tell us what we should do here? I think we just need the left aft pump on to provide pressure for the APU when the time comes. That's what I think is going on anyway. In fact, it would tell us in the APU power up, wouldn't it? Suitable fuel pump. Oh dear. I really thought that would tell us. That's a bit of a shame. Okay. Obviously not. The one thing I wanted to know from that massive great checklist. Moving on, electrical power. There's the standby power. That should be on. That's going to make sense. And now we get low pressure. So indeed, I did need to have that. So there we go. Even newer 737 feels old. Yeah, it does. It's really crazy. And a lot of these switches are not very clear which position they're in, like this one. You know, we just saw. But hey, we all know by now this. But at least we figured out why the power wasn't running. And then we can see now we do have oxygen pressure. And now the IRSs are aligning. So yeah, I missed the standby switch. So this switch was on the 756. It's disappeared for the 777 and the 787 standby power. We don't have it. Anyway, we are on ground power. That's all good. And these lights can all stay off. APU off for now. Put on some panel lights. Oh, the panel lights are on. We don't need the circuit breakers. That's fine. Equipment cooling in norm. Emergency lights go to arm. And let's put the... That's only chime. And we'll put the fasten seat belts on because the aircraft is fueled. Right. Wiper switches off. Good. Engine start panel both in off and ignition set to both. Moving up here, I'm going to put the windshield heat on, but the pitot heat can stay off for now. Wing anti-ice and engine anti-ice all off. We've got the electric pumps off, but the engine pumps on, so we won't get hydraulic pressure until the engine starts, which is absolutely fine. Ground power set to off, but is available. Thank you very much. No, I think it is. I think it was set to on, because it would have said source off, I believe. Because we did. I think that's all. I think the problem we had was we were only running on ground power without the standby power. It's just a strange system, but there we go. Just FYI, I'm on OR, which is the Oliver Tambo that's the name for the airport, which is Johannesburg main airport. The audio is currently broken. Okay, no problem, Miku. Thanks very much for letting us know. Afternoon, Chris Watkinson. I hope you're doing well. Good. Right. So yes. So that's on. We got forward entry, forward cargo, aft cargo set. Voice recorder there. Okay. And this outdated cabin pressurization where we don't actually have to do anything, but we are going to set up that panel. But let's go back up here, do it in right order. So voice recorder, I'll put it to on now. Temperature can all be left in auto. Not too worried about that. Reset fan, auto, auto. We've got the insulation valve in the open position. Packs are both off, and the AP bleed is off with the engine bleeds on. So let's put, yeah, let's leave it like that. Good. Do I need to? Here's a question for you all. Do I need to put the isolation valve to auto? Fuel. There we go. Master caution. I swap aeroplanes in these simulators so much, and it's starting to expose itself to me how I'm swapping between airplanes in this in the simulator. I really don't remember. As ACG says, blue and brighter blue is such a great system for indicating states. Exactly. Yeah, it's really quite something. It's really quite something. There was a bing. I don't know what that was for. Look at this checklist. Ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. Come on, where's the bleed air? That switches the isolation valve. Isolation valve. Switch. Open. So, yep, it was by default set up right. Bleed switch is on. AP bleed switch. 1 minute after we start the AP, we can turn it on. Dual bleed light should be illuminated. Okay, good. Right, that's good. And then finally, we'll set up that panel. Our cruising level today should be pretty high. Yeah, flight level 320. Can't believe you have to type this in. This is madness. Nick, I'm doing very well. I hope you are as well. Good to see you. Thanks for coming along. 320. Oh. Landing altitude, it's effectively sea level, and this is in the, we're not using manual, I want the auto position. This switch is very important, I know that. We've got steady for the position lights, anti-collision and wing, wheel well and logo off. Good. Right. Loads of warnings on here, that's fine. Our IRS should still be aligning when I finally figured it out. It's flashing. And that's still just saying heading status. I might need to do that again, I'm worried. Do we get a message about it down here? You do on the 777 and the 78s. But I think the flashing, I think I messed it up by not providing power. Nav. RSs are the most fiddly part of modern aircraft. You just have to move the airplane and you'll upset it, or remove the power at the wrong moment, or anything like that. And then once they do get upset, everything fails. Enter IRS position. Oh, maybe it was aligned, but I'm surprised we didn't get anything on the screen here. By the way, yeah, Johannesburg Airport is very high up, as you'll see, 5,500 feet. It's quite something. Let's go into FMC. On both sides, and let's try aligning those again. We'll just give them a second to think about themselves. There we go, DC on DC, and hopefully that'll wake it up. Right, we'll come back to that shortly. So for takeoff, we are going to be flying. Let's get rid of that miserable checklist for now. We're going to be flying south, I'm hoping. In fact, if there is air traffic control, let's have a look. Let's have a look. So, FAOR, ATIS. Departing runway 03 left. And they're running with a QNH of 1022. So of course, that means I can't use the departure I carefully selected for once I actually got the chart ready. So I really don't know how we're going to depart northerly, because I think there's only one departure up this way. So I'll be curious, because we want to go down to Ovela. And that's where our flight plan's starting from. It means a short taxi. So we could do the APDAC. I'm just looking for any departure that goes southeast onto our original flight plan. Or we could do the Heidelberg. No, we couldn't. That's the wrong runways. So far, it's only the APDAC. Right, sold. I want one of these, please. How that's going to tie into the rest of the flight plan, we shall find out. Yeah, this does happen. It does happen in reality as well. I like this feature. I like this. But how do I unpin it? Oh, yes. Good. Okie doke. So that is our current plan. We should really talk to delivery, but I'll just give them a second to get the... No, hold on. APDAC does the same thing. What am I talking about? Oh, dear. Ah, Lauren B, good to see you. Lauren B says, vector departures aren't too uncommon here. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's looking like we're not going to do that either. I don't know why I thought we'd do that. That's what we could do. Anyway, the course is runway 035. It looks like we'll take off from the left most likely, which makes sense. So let's just put in 035 into the course. Another thing we have to do on this airplane, luckily not too far away. 035. 035. Good. We've got the speeds to come, and the flight directors and the VNAV will do in a moment once we get things more aligned. Otherwise, we want the main instrument panel to be norm. FMC's got a problem, we know that. And we can put the auto brake to RTO. M1 select. And flaps are up. Gear lever down, 3 greens. Brake pressures, I think that's okay. Well, it looks low. It should be in the green. We shall find out. Probably needs a bit of hydraulic power. Wonder if we pumped the hydraulics, would that work? Yes, it would. Now, that's not something you'd ever do in real life, because you just pressurize the airplane, and that could cause problems for engineers or people working on the ground, especially an airplane that's as low to the ground as this. Oh, look, our reverser's deployed as we gave it hydraulic pressure. There we go. I think that might have fixed our thrust lever problem, but there we go. Good. The stop altitude, likely to be quite high. What do they tend to use? Climb to 8,000 feet, further climb with radar control. So I'm going to set 7.9 for now, just as a reminder we haven't actually got our clearance yet. Right, moving down, so many switches. These are all light, so that's not a problem. Do oxygen mask test over here, that's working. And tube dose is in op because nothing's aligned. These are all in the normal position. Speed brakes are down, flaps are up, thrust levers are at idle, master switches are at cutoff, or engine fuel control switches, I bet they call them. Parking brake is on, engine fire switches are all in the normal position. Stab trim is in the norm as well. It's funny that this stab trim override cutout is so guarded and hidden on this airplane. On the 777 and the 78, it's a big bright red switch over here. Very, very obvious. It's pretty small on this airplane. I'm quite surprised, actually. But there we go. Moving down, we've got to have the engine fire tests all in the normal position. And then we just got our radios, transponder, and they've got data set, interestingly. There we go. And a quite fancy radio panel. I quite like this. You can just type in the navigation frequency. It's a shame you can't just type in the comms frequency. But we're going to go to ground. Let's say delivery. Who are they? What's not delivery for? Clearance delivery 121.9. 121. 9. Great. Time for some CDU. So enter IRS position. We have the right database. Good news. And we're going from Foxtrot, Alpha, Oscar, Romeo. Last position. Airport reference. All up pretty close. We drop it in and there we go. Then it lines. I'm surprised it can't give us even an attitude horizon, artificial horizon without knowing where it is. But there we go. And then I'm going to do flight plan request.
Taxi
Evening,
Bravo,
PTDR. Hope you're doing well.
to holding point on 03 left. Can you
Enjoy your weekend too. Thanks so much for popping by.
Kenya 61, just confirm that's the Cat 2 holding point, runway 03 left.
Cat 2, Taxi Bravo to Cat 2.
Bruno says, hello, CAE engineer here. We really appreciate your content. Amazing for supporting our operations. Well, that's great to hear. Thank you very much. Invalid entry. What's going on here? We're going to do this manually. Request. Sim brief.
Kenya for
set payload. Set fuel.
Report bay number.
Select routes.
Kenya 40.
SFR231. FAOR to FAPE. Has he got the routes? No route yet. So let's request it.
So Kenya 405, I didn't quite get that, but continue.
Yeah, thank you, Alessia. I'm glad the videos are useful. Route uplink ready. Good news. Load.
Gate Alpha 5, Kenya 405.
Give it a second. This is quite a slow process. It's not a long route today. I don't think CloudBot has sprung to life. So if anyone would like the route I'm planning to fly, let me put it into the chat.
Kenya 450 requesting clearance for Nairobi.
Kenya 450 OR Turner Grand. Good evening.
There's the
Clear
routes.
to Nairobi, flight 410 on quest.
Right, route data uplink.
Last comply for Beta 3 Alpha departure.
Let's just check it looks sensible.
8,000 feet.
That's it.
Radar frequency 124.5.
Upper 018 to Nevin. Upper Quebec 8 to Alcat. Direct to Papa Echo Victor. Activate. Actually, a lovely short route that. I like it. I like it a lot. Perfect it. So we have a 0 fuel weight. Should make sure we get this right.
Kenya 403, Squawk 7360.
Actually, we'll take it from here. Yeah.
124.5. Climb, initial
0
climb,
fuel weight 59.9.
If
If I click on it, it should work. Yeah, 59.8. Slightly down. Reserves today, we need a total, and they've given us a ridiculous alternate of Cape Town, which is 1 hour 12 minutes away. You never find that. So that is 3 tons plus final reserves of 1.1, so 4.1 tons. So I'm not going to take any extra fuel because we have a lot of extra fuel on board already because of that alternate. Cost of next today, 17. And cruise wind, let's just put an average wind for a short flight like this. Average wind 292.23. Oh, maybe we need to put the flight level in first. 320.
Kenya 777, are you on frequency?
There we go. Well, execute that. Next up is performance. Oh, and the fuel. Is that what we're taking? 8.6 tons of fuel. 8.6 tons of fuel. Is that right? 3.6 burn? I suppose it's only an hour and 20, isn't it? Wow. That's caught me slightly off guard. I forgot that it was even possible to fly an airplane around with that much fuel. 8.6, it calculates 8.7. 8.7. Okay.
Kenya 777.
Right, performance tool. 03 left. Report from the aircrafts. Anti-ice off.
Contact Art on the tower, frequency 118.
Air conditioning on. Optimum. 68.5 tons. It's no 777. Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe that. I mean, a normal takeoff fuel in a 777's 80 tons, but that is to fly an awful lot further. So it is definitely 03 headwind, so that's good. We're going with 3018, which is. Let me just check. That should be about 1022. And they give us 1022. They're working on QNH here, so we'll do QNH. Good. Let's calculate that. So, accelerate 1500, flaps 1. Flaps 1 takeoff. I didn't know you could do that. But we're going with a cell temp 26, takeoff 1. Cell temp 26, takeoff 1. And then I would imagine it would climb 1, although it's not going to tell us that. But there we go. Then we'll go to takeoff, flaps 1. Really crazy to me, but there we go. You can't do that in a 777 or a 78. But we're going to go flaps 1, and we're going to go V1 150, 151, 154. 150, Oh, hold on. I've done the same thing I often do on these videos, on these streams. We need to put in the departure. So yeah, 03 left, and we reckoned we were going to get a vector, but I settled on thinking we would get the APTAC 1 Bravo as a departure, just as a starting point. Execute that, and now we can finally go in. Still got 26, still got takeoff 1, flaps 1, and then it gives us the speeds, you see. So 150, 151, 154, 150, 151, 154, 68.4 tons takeoff. CG today of 24.8. Trim 5.1, which is in the green. Looks good. And if we look up here, we've got takeoff 1 and sail temp 26 degrees. So quite a high thrust setting, but it is derated already by 10% down to takeoff 1. So that's pretty good. Okay, V2 of 154 needs to go in here. $154. I'm going to put the flight directors on. See if I can remember all the Boeing-y things. Autothrottle arm. I think you'd do that now. You certainly would on the bigger ones. And we are going to use L11 VNAV, and we're taking off from runway 03. So I have 035 on here as well. Okay, it's time to get the APU up and running. So the aircraft is somewhat ready to go. How's it looking outside? Got our stairs connected still. Got some baggage hold doors open as well. So let's get the aircraft closed up. Ground operations. And I want to go to door management. Close. The emergency exit is armed, which makes sense. But I can close the cargo as well. And let's just make sure we get this right. So, entry 2 left is armed. That's fine. So they've actually all okay. So all the doors are armed except for one left, with the only options open. So that's fine. Okay, let's leave that alone. Ground connections. I won't touch anything yet until the APU is online. Oh, chase plane's doing its thing. I have some work to do on chase plane to make sure I get this right. Spot view. That's what we want. APU is up and running. Can't hear any passengers. Now with the Boris sound pack, you have to go up to this extra radio panel and do something. But I can't remember what it is.
Kenya 450, ready for taxi, runway 03
There we go.
left.
Kenya
Now we've got some passenger sounds in the back.
Stand
Love
by.
it.
I'll call you back.
Good. Okay, that's recovered. So yeah, let me know how the audio is, because I have had to adjust a few things. I'm guessing V-Pilot now is a little loud, but you tell me. You tell me. M really says, is takeoff 1 and takeoff 2 similar to MCT logic in an Airbus? No. Well, no. In an Airbus, you don't have these takeoff 1 and 2 options. What you've got is, go to perf, N1 limit. So there's quite a lot of options here, and not all airlines will use these. It's not uncommon in Boeing to just have a takeoff setting and a climb 1, climb 2. But it's just a derated, it's just a hard derate. So with cell temp, you give it a range of numbers and it adjusts the power according to the temperature. So 26 is quite a low cell temp. It's actually getting very close to the actual outside temperature. But we are derating the engines by 10% by going to takeoff 1. What you can do in the Boeings is you can derate it by 20% and then do a flexible cell temp on top of that. There is a technical difference between these two ways of reducing engine thrust for takeoff. The main one being, you can remove this at any point in the takeoff. You can remove the cell temp at any point and the aircraft is still controllable with the performance you've been given. But the point is, even with an engine failure, this thrust setting will all work. Everything we've got here will work. This number, this is a full, it's sort of like a hard derate. You've just taken 10% off the engine thrust. As you can see, it's instead of 26,000, it's 24,000. So the difference here is this number, you can't, you're not supposed to override it. So if you remove this and go to full throttle at the worst moment in the flight, so when you're at rotate speed and you go full throttle on one engine while the other one fails, you might find your aircraft's uncontrollable because you put too much thrust on. Once you're above V2, you should be absolutely fine, especially if you're already climbing, but it is just a feature of the way this is calculated that it's not considered safe to remove this one. This one it's fine at any point though, like in an Airbus. But the Airbus doesn't bother with this section here, it just has the temperature at the top. I don't know whether they just have a wider range or how they did it like that, but anyway, that's something they do. Right, so the APU is on. It's got an EGT. Let's try and move over to APU Gen. Let's put the APU bleed on. Provide some pressure. Freddie Sim, good to see you. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along.
Clear to Dubai with flight level 340.
Pete says in Port Elizabeth right now. Excellent. Oh, we're heading down very shortly. Maiku says half the SIDS and stars are suspended by the CA because the air traffic service hasn't been doing terrain surveys or something. Oh, right, okay. Well, that would explain it. So maybe we'll just be given a heading, which is fine. Good. So let's get rid of the ground power unit. Release.
Roger, we'll report ready for push and start.
The stairs should be gone. Oh dear.
Ground Emirates 60 Yankee.
There we go. Stairs again. I'm going to remove the chocks.
Ignore that. When someone else clicked on the wrong thing.
We are in a good place. Now we're taking off with no weather around, so I will just have terrain on this display. So let's set that up. So we've got VOL1 showing. I'm going to have terrain. I want the airports. I want traffic. Which already was on, so I shouldn't press that. Good. Okay, that looks a little more reasonable. I think we're in a good place. Van Vino should be armed. There we go. Good. So what I'm going to do now is just make sure we know what we're expecting to do here before we call up air traffic. So we are down here on the terminal. We're going to do a very short taxi out to 03 left, out by Bravo or Alpha. I think we might actually need the full set of charts. It's always nice to think you can use this chart, but it's never got quite enough information. So we'll go for the first parking chart, not that one. This one. So we are going to take Charlie, Lima onto Alpha, most likely. We are on, I think we're on Charlie 4, Charlie 3. Good. And then we're going to take off. We'll find out, but the MSA is going to be high, 7.9. There you go. We've already set that, but expecting a sort of a straight out departure and then a right turn down to Apdak, climbing all the way. High altitude takeoff, so it could be quite a long takeoff run, especially given the weight of the aircraft. We've got a lot of passengers on board, even though we've only got 8.6 tons of fuel. We're actually quite heavy, I think, for a 737-800. So that is going to have some implications. So we're taking off at a gross weight of 68.5 tons. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's going to have implications at 24 degrees and 5,500 feet. So potentially a long takeoff run with relatively slow acceleration, but we have the performance for it, even with an engine failure. How long is the runway out of interest? Let's have a look.
7317 Kenya 450.
4,400 meters. For good reason. You need that runway length because we need to be able to get in the air even at hot and high altitudes. So that's all looking good. So the big things here are going to be get that taxi right. So we'll double check the routing. We're expecting to have some quite sluggish performance when we get into the air, but there's nothing really we need to change. I will try not to over-rotate the aircraft with the nose too high. That would be the temptation, just to go to what I normally do in a 7.3. But it probably match more what the 777 does. Probably still better than the 787's takeoff.
If possible, please.
Okay, so we've got performance, we've got loose. And I think we're in a position to call up air traffic control. So let's do that. Keith said, today I flew from Cape Town to Port Elizabeth, from there to Durban and then Johannesburg. Nice to see you flying in my home country. Awesome. That's a lot of flying. Right, let's have a chat to air traffic. if their audio is still working. And we are Safair 231. Safair 231. Delivery, good day, Safair 231 on Charlie 3, 737-800 with QNH 1022, request clearance, Port Elizabeth.
Safair 231 800 grand, good evening. Cleared to Port Elizabeth, flight level 320 on request. After departure, runway 03 left, non-standard, maintain runway track. Initial climb altitude 8,000 feet. When passing 6,500, contact Johannesburg radar on frequency 124.5. Squawk 4004.
Thank you. So for Safair 231, expect to climb flight level 320, departure from runway 03 left, maintain runway track, climb maintain 8,000 feet. After 6,500 feet, contact Johannesburg 124.5, squawk 4004.
Safair 231, read back correct, report ready for mission start.
We'll go Safair 231. Awesome. Right, so 8,000 feet in the window, please. That's what we expected. We're going to have a squawk of 4004. I'm terrible at remembering that on these streams. 4004. That should be in... It always loads in transponder mode. Should be off for now. Oh, hold on. On auto standby. I'm not familiar with this panel. Well, I'm going to put it to above anyway. On transponder, that's as good as it gets, I think, for now. So I think that probably is already broadcasting. But there we go. And after 6,500, 124.5. But I think we're going to have a couple of frequencies to deal with first, because 1219, yeah, we've got Tower 1181, so I won't type that in yet. Okay. So that is all as expected, except we're going to maintain runway track. I'm going to disarm LNAV because we're not going to use that for departure. We're just going to keep the toga line and carry on the runway track. I'm going to pressurize now and then call up air traffic control for push and start. So let's see if this pressurizing flow works from the 777. So we'll put on all the fuel pumps. We'll leave the hydraulic pumps as just engine only. I don't think we need to turn those on. Put on the beacon. And collision on. Check the recall.
Actually, correction. Check squawk 73.
Done the transponder, and then we need the trim to be 5.1. I'll run that. It's very slow running. Guava Jelly, thanks so much for the $4.99 super chat. Really appreciate it. Guava says, recently got into flight simming and you quickly became my favorite channel on YouTube. Thank you for all the great content. That's really great to hear. Thank you so much for coming along, and I'm glad the channel's been helpful for you. Really, really nice to hear. Thank you so much. Very, very kind. This is very dark here in real life. Yes, I have cheated on the sun, and I'm running slightly earlier in the day. Thank you again, Guava Jelly, though, and I'm glad to hear the video is useful. Right, okay, so that is the aircraft effectively pressurized. Again, I don't think we need to pressurize the hydraulics yet. I think it's to do with the way the nose wheel steering is on the 7.3. So we run the trimmer. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to call ready. Safair 231 ready for request push and start.
Safair 231 push and subapproach face east QNH 1022.
Push out approved, face east QNH 1022 Safair 231. Right, clear on the left, clear on the right. Passengers ready to go. Push out approved facing east. We'll do the old cheat because there's still no pushback available, which is a shame. This airport doesn't look too bad. This is a completely default airport with nothing special on it. Doesn't look too bad. Here comes the tug. Now it says to face east. I'm hoping. Sometimes Microsoft Flight Simulator seems to do things right and push the airplane in a way I would hope it would, and sometimes it just goes all over the place. So we shall see. But I'll be ready to cancel it if we need to. That's connected. Brakes released.
Information echo is now current. Cleared to Nairobi, flight 320 on request. After departure, runway 03 left.
I'm hoping. Oh, and yeah, being a 7.3, I need to do the toe brakes. There we go. And back we go.
124.5, squawk 7363.
Clear to Nairobi has filed right wheel left.
I love that livery on the MD-90 with the V2500 that later went on to power the A320 famously, of course, and Lauren V's namesake.
Turkish 6462, squawk.
Yes, look, it's turning us the right way. Love that. Love it when that happens. Right, let's start the engines. I'm going to start the right engine. So, let's see if I got this right. The packs are off. Oh, so yeah, there wasn't any air conditioning. Sorry, everyone. It's probably pretty warm in the cabin. Let's see. Is he going to push us straight here? Yes, it is. Very good. Stop the pushback there. Set the parking brake. Out of interest, can we see the cabin temperatures in here?
7363.
I assume it would be on its own panel. Yes, it is. We'd have to look up here and do some dial. Yes. Sorry, everyone. It's 31 degrees. Oh, dear. Let's get the engines running. That's a bit of a big faux pas. But you would have had a lot of complaints about that by now. And I need to go to ground. And because it's in auto and we haven't got the bleed on, it is providing the pressure we want. That's good. 20, fuel on. Is South African summer still probably hotter outside? Indeed, I think it probably would be. Yeah, it would be. Some nice sound effects. You can let me know if you need me to adjust them. I hope you can hear Boris's excellent work. Good, engine up and running. Let's start the right. Or engine number 2. Bizarrely, Boeing called these engine 1 and 2, which is the same as the Airbus has engine 1 and 2, which is great. I think that works just fine. But then on the 777-78, it's engine left and right, which I find very confusing. And it's interesting as well, the ground staff find that a little confusing. It's very common for ground staff to refer to clear to start engine 1 or 2. Yeah. I can see we have a config warning. I shouldn't have turned on the center fuel pumps. We shall fix that momentarily. It almost sounds like we have the noise cancelling on. No, we don't. Noise cancelling even quieter. Right, engine is up and running. Let me think through. What would I do on the big ones? Well, no, don't do that. We need to do electrical power over. Then I can turn off the AP itself. I don't need that. That can go off. I'm going to put the patch to auto because we are going to leave on for takeoff, and the isolation valve to auto. And we've got the bleed switches on. Good. I'm going to run the flaps to 1, not 2, please. 1. Thank you very much. And I'm going to. I want us to verify takeoff speeds 150, 151, 154. Yes. They're all fine. I'm going to sort out the fuel pumps because I didn't need the center tanks. Oh, I did need the center tanks for 80 kilos. 800 kilos. Ignore me. Good. And we're going to run the flight controls. So we go to system.
8,000 feet initially.
Full right. Full left. Neutral. Full down.
Departure on
full up. Neutral.
5,
rudder. Full left.
4036.
Full right. Neutral. I don't know. Does anyone know? Do the 73 pilots need to actually inspect that on the flight control screen here, or is it like the long haul where you don't bother? I'll get rid of the engine secondary display. Good. Now it's gone into ARM and then VS, you can see here, so that's no good at all. So let's put VNav back in as the ARM. I think when we press TOGA it'll reset, but I could just do flight directors off and on actually. Off and on. VNav. Okay. Right. Turn off AP bleed. Okay. It's not going to make no problem. I can't foresee any problems with doing that. Oh, and we need to turn on the hydraulic pumps by now. There we go. And we'll put the pitot heats on as we're taxiing out. Right. Let's have a look. Let's see if we've managed to get things ready to go. Force up procedure. Ah, yes, we've set V2, LNAV, VNav, heading, altitude, doors, fuel, hydraulics, anti-collision, and trim. 4-star, flight deck door, fuel, passenger signs, windows, MCP, takeoff speed, CDU, rudder and aileron, taxi takeoff briefing, anti-collision lights. We've started the engine. Oh, it's 25% N2. I did it a bit too early. Right, generators are on, ProPeat switches are on, wing anti-ice not required, engine anti-ice not required, backs are in auto, isolation valves auto, AP bleeder off, thank you very much. Engine start switches back to auto. Oh, that's interesting.
Straight ahead, hold short of
Continuous or auto, so it needs to go to continuous for takeoff. So there you go, continuous.
Straight ahead, hold short half.
Engine start levers, idle detents. They are up in the idle detents. Flap lever, take off flaps. We have flaps 1, and I can check it there. Very important. Transponder is still as required. I'm going to put TARA or I'll just forget otherwise. So let's do that now. It makes no difference. And recall. So what is the airplane not happy about? Flight controls. What have we missed? Your damper. We definitely turned that on. But we've deleted the IRSs, so it tripped off. Interesting. There we go. Recall checked. That's why we do it. Full taxi checklist. Generators are on. ProPeat on. Anti-ice not required. Isolation valve auto. Engine start switch is continuous. Recall checked. Auto RTO. Start levers idle. Flight controls checked. Ground equipment cleared. Full taxi checklist complete. Next to the before takeoff, which is just flaps and stabilizer trim. So we can do that now. Flaps are at 1. Stabilizer trim 5.1. Great. I quite like this. What PMDG done is they've given you a checklist and the procedure. So here's the procedure, here's the checklist. This is what the pilots would do. This is the checklist they would run. And I like that. That's a correct way of doing it. Next is the after takeoff. So we're pretty much ready to go here. Boeings are good. They get most things done before you get going. Austin Grant, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Really appreciate it. Austin says, been a fan of the channel for a long time. Best channel on YouTube. Your tutorials are great. They've inspired me to finally complete my pilot's license. That's really, really kind. Thank you so much for the super chat. Very, very generous of you. And it's great to hear. I absolutely love hearing that. I can't believe the channel's been able to inspire people that much, really. It's fantastic. So thank you so much, Austin, and thank you for the super chat. Really, really, really appreciate it. Thanks for coming along. And I hope you enjoy your flying. What a whole new world to get into. Yeah, fantastic. Sapphire 231 request taxi.
Sapphire 231 taxi, straight ahead on Lima, right Bravo to the Cat 2 holding point to runway 03 left.
Straight ahead on Lima, right on Bravo to the Cat 2 holding point for 03 left, Sapphire 231. Right, that's a trap.
Emirates 60 Yankee.
So.
Crossing contact
Right on, so we're on Lima, which is not here, not India, so the left one, then right on Bravo, so the first one, and then the Cat 2 holding point is here, so it's like a 45-degree turn, then the Cat 2 point. You can see that by the way these are drawn on the chart. It looks like a little Roman numeral 2. Let's do it. So brakes released. It took us 50 minutes to get going today. That is not my best.
The plan is that you'll cross on Echo, then expect to go right to Charlie, and then you'll enter runway by Juliet from the east. That's going to be under tower control, so
chase plane and
Echo for now. So
PMDG doing us proud here. It looks great. Now this is quite a fancy fit of 737. It looks like we've got LED lights here. Lauren B says, no, we don't need to look at the flight controls on the screen. Mechanical linkage after all, so if the controls move, then the surfaces move. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think that's... Oh, I'm surprised that 777 doesn't require it, but there we go. I wonder if on the Airbus it's more to do with the interlocking of the side sticks than anything else. You can actually see the ripple with that old 707 sort of ripple down the side. Awesome. Let's get this right there, as we've been told Lima. We're on the left-hand taxiway. And then we're going to want to end up on Bravo. So the taxi light, I've only got the taxi light on, and it's in the wing route on this airplane. It's here. Strange. I thought that'd be the turn-offs. Boeing lights I do find a little more confusing than the Airbus ones. Okay, so Bravo. That suggests Lima over there. Let's get this right. I think we're going to actually take a right turn here.
Straight ahead on Alpha, the Cat 2 holding point to runway 03 left. Continue on Alpha to the Cat 2 holding point for 03 left.
Should we change this camera angle? I might move this one to be further forwards. I do pick good moments to do these things, don't I? Actually, no. Fine where it is. Okay. So now we are running down Bravo. And we need to take the 45 left. And there's another trap. Don't miss it and end up on Mike by accident. What a confusing set of taxiways. Yeah, we need to make this 45 left. Let's look out here. What's that? That's Bravo. Alpha to the right. And to the left. Yeah, so that's where we're going. Good. Okay. Thanks again, Austin, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Fresh Pilot says, I'm currently on a 767 on the way to O'Hare. What better to do than watch someone fly a plane whilst on the plane? Yeah, excellent. I think I'm going to have to go back into X-Plane soon for a live stream, and we'll have to take a 7.5 or 7.6 in the air. It's just been far too long. I really miss them. Lucky says, what did you say is better, Flight Factor 777-200 or the PMDG 777 Whiskey? I haven't tried the Flight Factor. That's another one I need to try. I need to do a bit more X-Plane, so yeah, sorry. Bardley says, hi there, I'm from Joburg. Hello. Thanks for coming along.
Sapphire 231, contact our standard tower frequency 118.1, entry stream, goodbye.
Contact tower 118.1, thank you so much for your help, and thanks very much. Good to speak to you, Sapphire 231. Very nice controller looking after us today. So 118.1. Yes, someone asking about the SAS, so I will talk about that once we are up in the air. So please do ask me again. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things about that. Again, obviously no final report, so we aren't going to be able to say what happened, but we are certainly going to, I'm sure there'll be some questions about how some things work in terms of systems that would normally stop that. So I think it's, and you know, obviously, thankfully no one was injured, so yeah, quite happy to answer questions on that one from what I can tell you about normal operations, as it were. Right, that's Mike. We don't want to do that. We're going to go left up here. We're on tower 118.1. We are ready to go. We've even done a before takeoff checklist. Tower, good day, Sapphire 231. Taxiing to the Cat 2 holding point for 03 left. Ready for departure.
Sapphire 23, run our Tampa Tower, good evening, runway 03 left, Juliet, surface wind 40 degrees, 8 knots, clear takeoff, goodbye.
Clear takeoff from 03 left, Sapphire 231. Thank you, goodbye. So by Juliet, which is here. We've already been given the change. So that's a good one as well. Speaking exactly of that SAS, let's not accidentally line up on Alpha by making a 45 left. Sorry, what's that? 120 degree left turn up onto Alpha. Let's get this right. I'm glad the controller said Juliet, or I'd have been tempted to take that left turn. So landing lights come on, runway turn off, don't need the taxi lights, and let's put the strobe lights on. Oh, we're beating a, what's that, 777. They'll often try and squeeze short-haul aircraft out in front of the heavies. The amount of times I've been cut up by a short-haul aircraft. Right, let's get Juliet right. Juliet is this left turn here. Juliet, yeah. Clear on the approach, clear on the runway, we're cleared to go. Lining up, lights are on, TCAS is on, it's all clear. And the next frequency for us, once we're in the air, is 124.5. I wouldn't normally do this. No, I'm not going to do that now. That's going to take too long to scroll down to 124.5. But we're ready to go. So a little bit of forward pressure, stabilise the engines at 40, and then I'm going to press the toga button and we'll get going. Like I say, predicting a long takeoff roll. Oh, that's Dougal. Excellent Dougal. In the 777 as well. Fantastic. I wanted to take the 777. I didn't think it would fit in where we're going. So I'll be very curious to see. Right, bit of forward pressure. Let's get the yoke in view. Bit of forward pressure. 40%.
Tower, I'm at 60 Yankee, request now ready for departure.
I'm at 6 Yankee on the 03 left.
Engine stabilising. N1 toga.
Yeah, I'm at 60 Yankee.
Xbox controllers are vibrating. Good. Keeping the pressure now. Bit of the left rudder needed. Slight crossing from the right. Good to see the physics working nicely. 80 knots, 6 in neutral. Yeah, it's going to be a long one, this. We are heavy. It's good, like I say, it's good to see that the numbers are working, that the sim is accurate, the performance feels sluggish. This is a long roll for a 7.3. Still too grippy on the ground. Bit gentler, bit gentler. There we go. Let it weathercock. Gear up. And there we go. 14 degrees is all we're going to get out of it. Oh, a bit more. There it goes. About 17. And away we go. Fantastic. So we're in ARM, heading cell VS. Interesting, it's converted to VS. At 6,500, we're through. I can contact air traffic control. So let's, heading cell's fine. I'm just going to gauge the autopilot, but I don't want it into VS. So I'll just do 2,500. Actually, we're almost there, so let's just do 1,500 feet per minute. MCP speed, so let's bug up. I know you have to do that on this airplane. It's N1 bug up. Just drives it to the climb thrust setting. And now I'll go to 124.5. Now the airplane's under control. 124.5. MCP speed, heading cell, out acquired, 8,000. All safe, and we'll retract the flaps as we get towards, as we get through the 1. Control, good day, Sapphire 231, level 8,000 feet to runway heading. Flaps up.
Sapphire 231, Johannesburg radar identified under radar control. Climb now, flight level 150.
Climb now, flight level 150, Sapphire 231, thank you. 150, still going the wrong way, so I'm going to hold up speed because I don't see the point in accelerating until we have a bit more direction the right way. So I'm going to do this in level change because I want to go up pretty sharpish, because I'm guessing once we get some altitude on, they'll let us turn the right way. So N1 MCP speed 15,000, that's a flight level. So that's standard, good stuff. We're at the up speeds, great.
Sapphire 231, turn right heading 130.
Right heading 130 degrees, Sapphire 231. That's a good turn. Oh, let's get the bank angle right. Well, we can easily do 30 degrees down here, but it's set to 25. Let's go to 130. I can't believe you have to do this yourself on this airplane. Set the bank angle limiter. Crazy to me. The Boeing define positive rate, or is it just climbing? It's just climbing. It's anything positive. It is literally what it says. Yeah. Anything positive is all it needs to be. The point is, unlike in general aviation, where pilots with retractable wheels will often take off and say they'll only raise the gear once they're content that they aren't going to be able to land back on the runway. On a commercial jet, once you pass V1, that's all done anyway. So if you don't raise the gear and you have an engine failure, you could drag yourself into the ground. So right, skid. Sorry, auto brake selector is gone to off. We're pointing in the right direction now, ish. Sort of paralleling that departure. I'm going to let the airplane accelerate now. Don't think we'll get a better heading. So we'll go 250. We're through 10,000 feet. Landing lights go off. Runway turn off lights off. And engine collision is on. That's good. I'm sorry, the strobes are on. And I think the passengers can run around.
Climb 150,
Auto.
confirm I'm still on
Great.
runway track.
Paper.
Roger, we'll climb 150 runway track, I'm at 230.
And away we go. Looking at all the agriculture. What a stunning, stunning day in South Africa. Good. So, as we look around, calm winds, that's good. Remember my last flight I did went very quickly because we had 170 knot tailwinds the whole way. WAF says, hi 320, I just wanted to thank you for this channel. You helped me solidify that I want to become an airline pilot. Only 11 hours.
Track direct Ovala.
Direct Ovala, Sapphire 231. Right, you can go. Ovala.
Lufthansa 5700, descend to altitude 8,000 feet.
Execute. It's off to the right. And now, LNAV VNAV. N1 LNAV VNAV speeds. Right turn. Heading by grounds. Fuel warning already. We know why. The center tank is empty.
Track direct Ekman.
Center pump's going off.
Trap direct Ekman, I'm at 630.
Increase the range again. But yes, thank you, WAF. And WAF says only 11 hours into PPL and flying 4 days a week. Fantastic. I don't know which part of the world you're in, Waf, but if it's in the UK, you'll be doing well to get those hours in at this time of year. But it's been so miserable and rainy in the UK, the weather. But yeah, fantastic. It's great to hear that the channel's inspired people. Like I say, really, really appreciate it. Fantastic. Backbiller, thank you so much for the £10 super chat. Back says, watching while working over the weekend for a deadline. Dreaming of getting back in the sky. Have learned a lot from your channel. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Back. I will do lots more videos and guides on the channel coming. I'm sort of still finding my feet with some things on the channel. I'm always learning about what people are looking for. So great to hear from people with feedback and things.
231, nothing further. Radar control terminated. Change to advisory.
Thank you very much for your help, and changing to advisory, Sapphire 231. Bye. How lucky were we, hey, to have air traffic control on the departure? Because they're 2 hours ahead in South Africa of the UK, so that means I'm actually streaming at quite a good time to find someone. So 1228, Unicom, please tell me in the chat if that's wrong. And we want to go up to 320. And we can't do this as easily in this airplane as our trusty triple, and I'll show you why. 320, and then I would normally just push it in, but now I have to press out intervention, which is a separate button on this. N1, VNAV speed, LNAV up to 320. But yeah, Backbidder, thank you so much, and I hope you get into the sky very, very soon. But great to hear you're enjoying the channel. Like he says, do you say the 7.8 for FS24 is good, or it's better to wait till something better model or either X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator comes out? The fact is, if you want a 787, there isn't much choice. You need the Horizon Sim. I'm going to try out the others. I haven't tried them yet. I believe there's the Bravo Sim as well. The working title avionics on the default 7.8 are very good, and you can easily enjoy normal sectors with normal SOPs, and it does it comfortably. What doesn't work is I find that the graphics don't load in properly, but I haven't tried it for a long time now. I sort of gave up on it, and then I moved to the 777, which luckily we have PMDG for. So I need to spend some time looking at the 787 models, yeah. So I wish I could answer your question, but the default one in Flight Simulator 2020 was very good if you added the Horizon thing on, and Orbex has Horizon in it. WAF says, I'm in South Florida, so should be good. Yes, so WAF will be able to fly from there, definitely. Niku says, I think all the others just use the working title 787 avionics. Exactly, the working title avionics are just spot on. They're really, really great. It's one of the best default airplanes I've ever seen in any simulator, to be honest. And it's unusual because it's such a complicated one. So to get right. Real A Max says, can we do nighttime transatlantic sometime? We certainly can if people want to do it. Transatlantic over the night it's a long stream, but it's not as full long haul stream really. It would be quite if we pick, especially doing it at winter, we can have some short flights back. So I will certainly consider that. Yeah, I'd certainly consider that. The only problem is I would have to. We might do it as a day flight. Unless I put time forwards and made it dark, especially if we did the East Coast. I specifically didn't do an East Coast flight on my 10,000 subscriber long haul, 100,000 subscriber long haul stream, because I thought it would just be too quick. It wouldn't count. Lauren B says, if all goes well, we should only spend marginally longer setting up than flying across Atlantic. Exactly. Exactly that. Getting some speed up now. Stunning weather. Although there is a front over there, it looks like. Let's have a look. A little bit early for this, but nice weather. Where we, oh no, not so nice weather. Thunderstorms. Like I say, huge amounts of fuel on board. I'll be curious to see. So we will eventually put the weather radar on, see if we can get anything useful out of it. I'm perpetually confused by the state of weather radars in Microsoft Flight Simulator, whether they're working properly or not. What weather radar have we got fitted today? Good, that's a lot of dials. So you've got tilt, gain, weather and turbulence, map, auto. Let's turn the gain up to start with and see if that helps. We'll try that about a bit later on. There's nothing for it to paint right now, so it wouldn't work anyway. We're done with the terrain issue, really. We're well above MSA. Double climb coming up. Piano Learner, good to see you. Piano Learner says, can you say what considerations there were when accepting the change from the 787 to the 777? For me, there's a few things about it, but a great thing about that, being able to fly different aircraft is sort of my dream. And it's not actually something airline pilots get to do very often. If you're, let's say you're a pilot for a low-cost airline and you're flying 737s, you can rise, and do lots of different roles in that position, or you can. There's not many airlines that, like let's say you're in a low-cost airline, right? It's only going to have 737s most likely. So swapping between different aircraft isn't usually an option. Also, if they have different bases, it could be that you'd have to change base to change airplane. I know this is very different in America. Can you still hear me on the exterior view, by the way? Please let me know if you can't change airplane. I know this is very different. Because I love the chase plane exterior camera. I love the way that it's tilted with the airplane. I think that just looks so great. Love it. So the chance of flying different airplanes is not very common for airline pilots. It's usually out of your hands, as in it's controlled by the company, and that depends on your company actually having different aircraft types, of which not many do. So it might well mean that you're changing companies to change aircraft type, which pilots do, but you're not usually going to change for the aircraft type. You're going to change for the lifestyle, or the terms and conditions, or the base. Is the base in the right place? Where do you want to be living and working? So it's just a rare opportunity, so I can't really say no if I get that opportunity. Hence why I was excited to fly the 777, and yeah, I think the 787 is likely to be a big part of the future of aviation for a while yet. It's a very popular airplane. We're seeing more and more of them, and just like with the A320 family, I think the 787-10 is going to prove to be a very popular airplane. Add on to that that it's a short course. It's not very long to fly. It's already on your license when you fly the 78, so I think it's pretty fun to fly the 777. And the final, and there's two other reasons actually. The 777, or if you change airplane, whether you're changing airline or not, you'll be flying different routes, of course. Airlines tend to put aircraft on certain routes. They won't all be shared, so you get to see more things, more experiences, more of the world. And finally, it's got the nice brown cockpit, which I really wanted to fly at some point in my career. I missed out on flying the 757, my dream job, along with the A340. So the 777 is as close as I'm ever going to get to that. And it is close. It is the right colour. So yeah, those are all the considerations really for me. Just an opportunity to do something else, which you just don't always get. Lanza Namria says, good evening, I just got Chase Plane and FS Realistic Plus, but there's just one thing I can't find out. I think there is an option for passenger group where the camera stays aligned with the horizon. Yes. Chase Plane can be a little overwhelming in some ways. I did do a full sort of guide on it. So, passenger. Any passenger view within? Yeah. Human. Follow horizon. It's down here. So you've got to go to menu, groups, select your passenger group, and then scroll down and you'll find horizon, follow horizon. I have it turned off. I dislike that effect, but that's where you do it. I think I have it turned on a tiny bit in the pilot group. Follow horizons, yeah, 0.055. Because it's not an effect I notice in real life, so I sort of find it to be a little bit artificial. Oh yeah, I want to turn down the touchdown effect, so it doesn't look like I've absolutely hammered it in every landing, even if we have. Where's the touchdown? I have speed brake vibrations turned up. I think it's a really nice visual cue that you have the speed brakes out. Touchdown effects. Yeah, we'll turn that right down. Thank you very much. 0.1, more than enough. Have to change that per aeroplane at the moment. WAF says, what do you think of the FSSE175? I haven't tried it. I want to try it. I think the Embraer are really interesting airplanes. I flew on one as a passenger recently and it was fantastic, especially the E2. So I want to try out the FSS ones. A little bit bumpy up here. Dougal says, I really dislike that mucky brown colour for the Boeing cockpit. Yeah, I like it. It just takes me straight back to when I grew up, and it was just, that was the colour of airliner cockpits. You didn't fly around on an Airbus very often, especially if you were flying UK sort of holiday airlines. You were going to be on a 757, it's just the standards. Maybe a 767 if you were lucky. The Airbus was just becoming the new thing. So I whenever I visited the flight deck after a flight, it would be brown. So I just grew to love it. Wife says, awesome, would like to see an E175 video. I would love to do it too. So let's see, this is the FSS Embraer, isn't it? Is this available in the marketplace, Flight Sim Studio? What do we have? We have an aircraft from them already, don't we? What aircraft do they also make? The 727, of course. Yes. Oh, they don't make many aircraft. But we do have their 727. Interesting. And then they have the E-Jet series. So do they have the E2? No, they have the E170, 175, 190, 195. Right. I'll check those out in just a moment. Need to see which one people actually want me to fly. Got to pick one. I would by default choose the bigger one, but that's the standard way with aeroplanes. Right, we're almost there. FMC speed, VNAV path, goods. Cruising at decimal 7.5, barely moving. Gentle wind across us, about what we expected. Bring the heading bug round, and we'll bring that limiter down as we climbed up a bit. We'll go to 15 degrees. Good stuff. Oh, and this should go to off. I can't do that because of my hardware, sorry. But I do know that should be in the off position. Fatboy says, do you have any comments, thoughts on the Air India incident on February the 1st where the pilots reported the 787's fuel control switches moved to cut-off when touching them to check they were set? Yes, that I saw that report. So this is a separate incident to the obviously the horrifying Air India crash where the 787 had both engines shut down on takeoff. This was a separate incident where an Air India 787 the pilots reported that the fuel control switch, so what we're talking about here is these switches, which were the subject of a lot of scrutiny or a lot of talk after that Air India crash. There is a report from the pilots. They did fly the aircraft the whole way, but when they started it up, one of them went back to off. I haven't seen enough detail. My understanding of it was that, well, I couldn't even understand from the report what they were saying because the full report wasn't released. We didn't see the report from the pilots as far as I'm aware, unless that's been published now, but I doubt it. My understanding was that this switch was not latching in the on position. Now these switches aren't quite, they are mechanical, so you can actually see, it is modelled here, there's a metal chunk here and it's spring loaded, so you lift it up and you can't lean on it. If you lean on it, it won't actually go off. You'd have to lift it to move it, just like on the Airbus. It's exactly the same sort of setup. And then there's also, I can't remember the name of it, whether it's a solenoid or whatever it is, there's something inside the switch, so as you move it you can feel a clunk inside of it as well. They're quite solid, chunky things, as you would expect given how important they are. it's apparently the Ab Herald has more information. Let's have a look at the Ab Herald. Last I saw, there wasn't much information going on. Oh goodness me, there is a photo of the set log. I'm surprised that's out. I don't want to post anything that shouldn't be. Right, so this is all courtesy of the Ab Herald. So they've obviously, the airline says that they've checked everything. So here we go. After moving the fuel control levers to run position, where the levers stayed initially, the crew rechecked the switches by touching them. The left-hand lever jumped to the cut-off position. Again, the crew moved the lever onto the run position and subsequently touched it for a recheck, and again it jumped into cut-off. A third attempt was made. This time the lever remained in the run position. The aircraft departed Heathrow with a delay of 35 minutes, landed without further incident. So there we go. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. I have not seen that myself. Yeah. I'm trying to think how that would be possible. But I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. I can't really say much else. They need to look into that and figure out how that could happen. Whether there was something in it, something blocking it, or it is just a defective design. I don't know. I really don't know. There's so much work's got to go into figuring things like that out, and it's so difficult to say. Yeah. I have always said about the original Air India incident, given that there's no report, but I have always said that because people were saying, well, it can't be the switches, blah blah blah. It could be anything. Until they've had enough time to figure it out, it really could be anything, including the switches, you know, or any number of other things. Lux Supreme says, the Boeing trim wheel spinning makes me nervous if a lanyard or sleeve gets caught in it. Indeed, me too. Yeah, it's gone from the more modern Boeings, but it is very much alive in the 737, and it makes a lot of noise. And this is a manual handle, so if you're trying to manually trim using this wheel, you can pop this handle out, and if you do that and forget about it, when it automatically spins, it drives straight into your shin. I've heard it can be very painful because it spins at quite a speed. Yeah, the amount of movement that wheel has to go through. Right, that's me accidentally disconnecting autopilot. So command, FMC speed, LNAV path, good stuff. Nick says 75% of the speed of sound, barely moving. Indeed, 75%, far too slow. I want 80 or above, please. WAF says I heard fuel contamination, maybe, referring to Air India here. Yeah, exactly. There's so many things, and the chance of it being just one is slim. But there's obviously a distinct lack of information still, which is a shame. I was hoping we'd know something by now. Vuti says, really looking forward to the A320 release. It will fill a hole in my regional plane hangar. Yes, the A320 would be amazing, because I'd love to see a bit more about that aeroplane. Quite a unique machine. But like I say, I'm definitely up for trying out an FSS. So what aircraft do people want to see from Flight Sim Studio for me to try out? The 170-75 or the 190-95? It's a bit of a shame they're separate, but I can understand they are a studio and they want to make money, and PMDG release all the variants separately, so why not? Yeah, the Embraer looks cool. Looks very cool. Exactly, we're waiting for the Synaptic A220. Hope to release later in 2026, says Booty. Good stuff. Fingers crossed. I'll be looking forward to that. It's an interesting airplane. These regional aircraft sort of live in their own space, and they have some very interesting designs, whereas on long haul And short haul, we're so used to 73s and Airbuses that those are the two families, aren't they, that we mostly see. So we sort of look into the past to fly out different airplanes like the 727 or the MD-11. MD-11 was great fun to learn. Chris says, I thought 738s didn't have the top window. Indeed, good spot. The eyebrow window. We've got one on this airplane because we have the HUD fitted on this side. Is that model on the outside? Sort of can't see much through them anyway. Yes, I always turn on the eyebrow windows, but you're right, it doesn't have it. It's just an option PMDG give me, and I like the eyebrow windows. I wish we had it. Although I know full well, if I was sat in this airplane for a long haul flight, I would absolutely hate the eyebrow windows because it's just more light. You just want to have it blocked off straight away. But pretty cool. I do think it's pretty cool to be able to look up and see. Should we put the HUD down for a bit? Why not? We've got it here. He says, and then completely fails to actually deliver. There we go. Good. There's the HUD. Nice. Like we're being back on the 787. Lauren B says the Embraer 175 with the long winglets has better climb performance than the rest. It doesn't do too well up high with only two little hairdryers strapped to it. Indeed, yes. And I remember from my days flying regional aircraft, I never flew the Embraer series. I really hoped to. I didn't get the chance. Pilots who did fly it, I believe the 175 had a quirk in the way the nose could sometimes lift up during takeoff roll. I don't know if that's still true. I have not flown the Lancaster, Nick. No. I did see, I think Into the Blue had a video on it, but I didn't fly it. Yeah. Whenever I do military, I do occasionally dabble with military aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I don't think it's what a lot of people come to the channel for, because I don't know enough about them. So I don't always get the chance to try them out. I did a video on the SR71 though, and I absolutely loved that. Someone mentioned it on the last stream. They said, "Have you tried the Blackbird SR71?" And I went. I spent a lot of time with that, and I've got one more video to come out on that. The SR71 holds the world record for flight time between London and between New York and London, which is of course slightly cheating because it's the shorter route, so it sounds even more impressive. But let's see, I wrote this down somewhere. I did it in 1 hour 54 minutes 56 seconds, but that was from being already at Mach 3 in the cruise as it passed overhead of New York, or maybe not Mach 3, but it was already flying. It didn't do a takeoff to touchdown. So anyway, I have a new video coming where I attempt to break that record in the SR71. So I'll do the full flight over the Atlantic. So I had done a flight over the Atlantic recently, but it didn't take the normal length of time. I'd love to fly the Blackbird on that sim, but I don't know if they'll allow it, or if I could handle the radios of navigation. Alstraw says 190 would be fun as it has the steep approach mode for real life operations into London City. Indeed, that is a good point. The 190 has steep. I would quite like to do that. I'd love to return to London City. Fuji says, how do you get the HUD to focus correctly in pilot view? The HUD should always focus correctly. So it's as you move around, it's always sitting in the same place because the HUD is designed to be focused to the infinite. Or I'm not sure if it is infinite, but it's a long way out, so your eyes can stay focused outside the aircraft. So yes, it's all clear here, but the reality is in the aircraft this will all be blurred in your vision, because of course you'll be looking focused out to the distance, and this should stay in focus as well, which is a great advantage of it over looking in at the PFD. So your eyes have to keep refocusing, whereas in the HUD everything's clear all the time. It's a neat feature. That boy says, I found the FSS implementation of the Embraer still has a lot of bugs, too many to make it a regular option for me. The new VNAV is real bit breaking. Oh, okay. Okay, it'll be interesting to try then. I think it'd be fun to try anyway. I don't mind VNAV not working perfectly, but I would of course say that if it's the case in my video. But in terms of flying it on a live stream, I think it would be as long as I've got even basic modes and the lateral nav mode, I think we'll get there. I think we'll manage. The Embraer logic takes some getting used to. I bet it does. That's why I'd like to try it, yeah. It's always difficult swapping between brands. Why do we not have a 717 available for any simulator, by the way? Does anyone know? I can't think of any. I'd love to fly a detailed 717 X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator. Because my understanding is it's very similar to the MD-11. As it's obviously a McDonnell Douglas product. Ah, TFDI makes a 717. And FSX P3D had one as well, says RB. Yeah, it's a real shame. TFDI products, 717. TFDI 717 is considered legacy. This is from their website, and will only receive installation support. Compatibility should be ensured prior to purchase. Interesting, isn't it? Then, so TFDI clearly have their heads wrapped around the logic of the MD-11. I'd love to see them tackle it and bring it to 2024 717. That would be great. Yeah, shame. No contrails. What's going on there? Is it warm enough? Captain Tim has a 717 Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's it. I enjoyed their. I flew one of their aircraft, didn't I, in video? But I suppose it's probably quite a basic version. I mean, I'm not too impressed with what I'm seeing on the Microsoft Flight Simulator marketplace. I remember it was bad in 2020, and I'm not referring here to. I'm certainly not referring to Captain Sim, but there are products on Microsoft Flight Simulator marketplace, and the 2024 marketplace is even worse, that are just outrageous. I mean, they are £100 bundles of sort of all these aircraft with, as far as I can tell, minimal modelling, and they're just put on there, and I don't understand how that's being allowed by Asobo. It's really, it's a real shame. There's developers out there who work so hard to bring their aircraft into the simulators, and then there's just stuff that is, I don't know where it's being generated or how much time is being used to generate it, but it feels to me like it's there with the purpose of getting the people will just not know about these other high fidelity products, and they'll just want to fly a specific airplane, so they'll just hop onto the marketplace, see it and download it, because there's so little information on them. There's no screenshots of even the cockpit. I mean, I just think it's outrageous that Asobo allows this. They really need to clean up the marketplace. But I suppose there must be a commission. I don't know how the financial side of it works, but yeah, it's a real shame when you see developers like TFTI and PMDG and Phoenix and so on, the work they put in. Yeah. That boy says, if you approach Captain Sim or Latin VFR aircraft, it's just simple simulations of the plane with zero systems depth. They're fine. They're not meant for serious sim. Exactly. Yeah, like I say, I'm not referring to Captain Sim there, and certainly not Latin VFR, who I actually really enjoyed their implementation of the A340. It's been sort of surpassed now, I would say, by the InnyBuilds one, which is more detailed. So, like I say, I'm not referring to any specific developer there very intentionally. But yeah, Latin VFR, I liked their A340 certainly. But some of the things that I've seen recently, and I think the pricing is just outrageous, and it's I think it's there to catch a market of people who won't know about this other, who won't know what's actually out there, or perhaps it's because of Xbox compatibility. I don't know, but I'm pretty disappointed in Asobo for allowing it. Waf says, what do you think of the UPS MD-11 crash? Do cargo carriers have less strict maintenance than airlines? It seems like an accident that should have never happened. So there's no final report on that. It certainly does seem like an accident that should never have happened. I know that's true for all accidents, but of course there's history to the MD-11, and including the bolts that held on the engine, but again, no final report yet. Do cargo carriers have less strict maintenance than airlines? No, definitely not. You could remember the fact is we're all sat here with these aircraft flying over our heads, the cargo aircraft as well. So it is absolutely as strict. And sadly, that UPS proves the point, really, because of course it landed on houses of people. Nick says maybe MS Scenery will make one. Alfred says, hi, watching from Williamsburg, Virginia, currently airborne in the MD-11 with the American Airlines livery as American Airlines Flight 191 from Heathrow to Orlando, longest flight in a trijet. Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, I think a long-haul stream in the MD-11 would be good fun. I'd like to try it. I'd like to see that airplane put to its paces. Hello, yes, Papa. I hope you're doing well. And Richard V, great to have you both here. I hope you're both doing very well. Thanks for coming along and modding for us. And C. Gonzalez, welcome as well. Lauren B says, cargo aircraft do tend to be older at the end of their lifespan, though. Easier for things to go wrong all of a sudden that way. Yeah, it's... The reason that happens is because the aircraft are... well, quite why cargo carriers end up with older airplanes, I can't truly understand. I often think about it, but as I think about, well, why is it? Why would cargo carriers? Why can they make a 757 stay in the air in Europe, but or a 76, but they don't? But commercial carriers don't. Aircraft have to go through a lot of maintenance and a lot of checks, and over their lifespan, that will change around a lot. They'll have the interiors changed. They'll have huge maintenance programs done on them. And commercial airlines are obviously interested in investing in new aircraft because they A, need to make sure they have a new supply of airplanes incoming. B, they need to upgrade some latest technology, so having things like Wi-Fi. They will want fuel efficiency because it will drive costs down, but also it will help them say that they're more efficient, which might reassure some passengers and customers. But quite why a cargo carrier doesn't need to worry about a lot of those things, I don't fully understand. But it always seems to be the case. Such as the MD-11s, the 767s, all these aircraft that are only found in cargo operators these days. But that might make an aircraft more prone to needing maintenance, regular maintenance. It might mean there's more defects that arise as parts wear out on an older machine. But in terms of major accidents, I don't think, touch wood, that the risk would be any higher because the aircraft are held to such a high standard. Part of the costs of having an old airplane is the maintenance and the D-checks where you have to take the whole thing apart. And I think that should mitigate any risks of serious incidents. For example, the MD-11, obviously a lot of scrutiny is being put onto these bolts that hold the engine on, which could have been damaged during an engine change, which is something that could have happened to any MD-11 that was in operation. It's a tricky one though. Simply Tom, good to see you. Tom says, haven't seen a 77 with eyebrows and windows for a while. Indeed, no, it is my personal preference. Taste of 737. There we go. Lauren B says, so the reason for the MD-11 is it had a lacking range optimal passenger payload, but had a good payload to volume ratio at the range it did have. There you go. Merifane, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so there we go. There's a reason for the MD-11. So maybe it's more to do with specific aircraft are very popular amongst cargo carriers, and then they become cheaper when they're bought on the second-hand market. Maybe that's it. Dr. Silkington, great to have you here. Dr. Silkington says, good to see you, Cap. Just catching up. Streaming England Six Nations game at the same time was a real dilemma. Yes, sorry, I have set that I, as you can tell, do not follow the Six Nations. So therefore set this at exactly the wrong time. Soon enough, it will be on top of We'll be on top of Formula 1, I'm sure, because there seems to be a race every 2 minutes now. Dougal says, MD-11 such an icon to see in the air, though. We'll miss them along with the 747. Yeah, absolutely. I really can't wait to fly the 747 Classic again in a simulator, or even the 747-400. I really want PMDG 747. I flew that so much in FSX, the 747X that they did. I absolutely loved that. That was probably one of my favourite. That and the Captain Sim 757 back in FSX, two of my favourite add-ons. Really, really want to see those again. Yeah, absolutely. The main says, welcome to South Africa skies. Feel free to join our Fly Stuff Air if you'd like to. Thank you very much. There you go. There's a Fly Stuff Air virtual airline, it sounds like. I won't have the time, realistically, to fly much, but if anyone's watching and is tempted, there you go. South Africa has some fantastic scenery. I mean, we're going to see some cool stuff as we get down here. XO says, bro, wide Boeing plane OGO trim up and nose up anyway to sell it? I'm not sure what you're asking, XO. Sorry, if you try and reword it for me, I might be able to get you an answer. Alfred says, been flying the MD-11 ever since I bought it. It's like flying a two-pilot DC-10. Yeah, it's fantastic. It looks great. It looks really cool to see it in the air. I had great fun. That's why I made 2 videos with it. And on my channel, I don't always do that, but if I'm really enjoying an airplane, I'll make several videos in it. Yeah. People seem to quite enjoy having a quick start guide, so I made that. Just because I know some people learn visually, so that people like having a video to follow. I sort of learn by reading, so I'm quite happy to read the documentation and come up with a video for it. Dougal says, seems funny that most of us flew those old sims, yet didn't know each other. Yes, indeed. Indeed, something that's been enabled by live streaming and Twitch and everything is, and YouTube and having channels and so on, is that the communities can be formed, which would be not a thing in the past, although there were some. I remember FSX, virtual airlines were a thing back in Flight Simulator X, but it wasn't really at a personal level. No live interaction, was it? The MD-11 is a great plane to fly, single-handed. It's a real handful. It is. It's great in a crosswind, but as in it's really difficult, but good fun. But as we saw in my last live stream in the MD-11, we didn't manage to do the LDA approach into Tokyo. Gave up and had to do the ILS. I still don't know what I did wrong there. Non-precision approach in the MD-11. There's not much guidance on it. Lauren B says, was all forums back in the FSX virtual airlines day? Yes, it was. What was the name of the forum? Was it Avsim? AC says, have we been talking about the SAS incident yet? We have not. Now, obviously, there's no report on that, and there's not much confirmed information. But if anyone has a question about it, I'd be happy to try and answer what would I know about normal operations, if that makes sense. This happened after, remember that 787 that did a bit of a nosedive in the cruise, and a lot of people started asking about the seat mechanisms. So I could at least squash some theories on that. Or some things that did the rounds. Look at the scenery, really getting a bit more rugged now. Love it. Avsim, that was it. Avsim still kicking, says Lauren B. Flightsim.com. Oh, there you go. I don't remember that one. Yeah. Sim Outhouse. There's loads out there. Exo says, I bought the PMDG 777 and 787. The nose of these planes keeps going up. It's only happening with Boeing planes, not Airbus. Is there a way to fix this? It sounds like you've got a control issue. So have you got some control that's forcing the nose trim up? That's a hard question, Exo. I'm afraid I can't help. There's no reason I can think of that they should be doing that. Unless you have some control that's assigned to run the trimmer. Is it the trim that's definitely running all the way up? Or is it the is it the lack of any pitch control on the yoke, you know? Right, let's update that heading bug. Now why does it not... Why does it say 7.5? Why is it not... Was that... Oh, is that from when I disconnected it, perhaps? Anyway. We are getting up to top of descents. This is a very short flight. Oh dear, I should have... I need to pick longer routes. We'll do a longer flight next time, I promise. I'll pick a nice long one. Maybe it's time to take the 777 out. I'd love the 777 to be in... to fly in my house livery again, but unfortunately my livery is not available in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I'm not sure if Paddy is still making liveries at the moment. So does anyone know how I could convert my house livery from the PMDG 777 or the Phoenix or any aircraft into 2024? What needs to be done? Is it a big process? Because the livery is a dark magic to me, livery creation. I don't know how they do it so well. I've made one livery, it was for X-Plane, back when it was very simple. Okay, so we're going to Port Elizabeth. Oh, 1980. No, Dougal, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I thought it was going to be a shorter runway than that. Before I scare Dougal off, who's flying a 777 with us. Let's have a look actually. Where is Dougal in comparison to us? Just behind. Doing 449 knots. Oh, we might even have a colleague flying along behind that as well. What are we doing? 449 knots as well. Excellent. It's going very slow for 777, but it can do it. 78 wouldn't be so happy that slow. Nick says, no internet when I started simming on the Acorn Electron. Excellent. Miku says, I think they have had heavies there before. Yeah, I can believe it. 1900 meters. Yeah, I thought it was a little shorter than that. Miku says, might have been the South African A330 or maybe A340 during the World Cup. Awesome. Runway 26, yeah, that's what I would think we would do. Let's just check. We don't have air traffic control, do we, down here? No, we've gone too far out. Guava says, I fly on 757s in the States pretty often. Have most European carriers retired them? Yes, they have. Very rare in Europe, except for cargo now. Duca says, I'm very light. That's true, that would help. Right, so, let us put in our arrival. So we are routing via Papa Echo Victor. That is not a named star. It is not in the overhead either. Well, it helps. Let's look at the correct airport. I find the system a little confusing. There we go. Right, there are no star charts. So where is the Papa Echo Victor? Is that the overhead of the airfield? Legs. Plan. Step. Yes, it is. It sounds like it would be. For a start, is it because it's a shortened version of Papa Echo Victor Port Elizabeth? So we're going to be broken off and then fly our approach into runway 26. So departure, arrival, no stars, but it does have an ILS, which is very well equipped. Lights up on, no VIA, nothing. Excellent. So let's execute that. What I'm going to do in this case then is put a fix, and I want to get the airport and code right. Foxtrot Alpha Papa Echo. And I want a range of, we'll just do 7 mile range ring. And now if we wind the scale out, there it is. And if we look at the approach charts, actually let's just check. Oh, I'm getting excited about runway 26, but I need to check the weather. No, 1704. 2403 CBs now and thunderstorms. Pretty rough weather. So we might do some dodging. And the wind is swinging around, but it's currently westerly, so we'll plan 26. But let's prepare. Landing en route. Let's prepare for bad conditions. So import the aircraft details. Auto brakes 3. I'm going to use both reversers. Everything seems fine like that. We'll import the weather, but I'm going to make the runway. I'm going to do it with standing water. I'm going to actually make it contaminated because there's a chance we could rock up, and if one of those thunderstorms downpours just as we're on final, then we could find ourselves landing on a contaminated runway. So it's best to have the worst case weather. Let's just see how this looks. Aha, not good. Port Elizabeth, runway 26 at 64.6 tons. Flap 30. So do we need to go flap 40? Would that work? Let's find out. No. Max auto? No. Interesting. That's a big penalty. Considering reversers are operative, that is a big penalty. So wet, we can do flap 30. I would imagine, yeah, look at that, no problem. And we can go auto brakes 3. Wow, it's tight though. This is one of the tightest performances we've seen. I'm not going to be able to float. Look at that approach speed, ridiculous approach speed. Flat 40 helps a bit. I think we'll go flat 40. Main reason is at 25 degrees, light winds. The chances are this is a low cost 737. Chances are we're going to have a short turnaround. So I'm going to want to keep those brakes nice and cool because there's no brake fans on this airplane. Where would the brake fan switch be on the 737? I don't actually know. Anyway, auto brakes are going to 3. We're going to be flat 40. At 40, and we'll be using maximum reverse for sure, given that situation. We can land with wind 2.03. Let's just put in 080 at 3. Yeah, okay. We can take a tailwind up to 8 knots. Flat 40, that's all reverse on a wet runway. So the reason I wanted to see if we could do it contaminated is because you could break out of the clouds here and there could just be, this cell could just dump a load of water on the runway, or it could have dumped some water on just before you got there. But we know we can't accept that. The runway's just too short, and that makes sense given that it is a shorter regional airport. Luckily we had the ILS, which is good for guidance, so let's set that up. Course 268. Lauren B says, never heard of a 737 with brake fan. Sounds like an Airbus luxury like the tray table. There we go, perfect. Answers that one. Good old Airbus. 268. I'll do both. Course frequency 109.5. Good. And Papa Echo is 1129. I just put that back up. Or standby. In case we get lost and want to navigate to something. Good stuff. And that will show up on the here shortly. Let's put number 2 off. Just want one needle. Flying around with all the needles to stay can be a bit of a nuisance. Let's go to weather radar on this side so we can start to get an idea. So it's a -2 auto. Let's see how this works out. It's starting to paint a few things. Looks all right outside. I'd be pretty optimistic for now. Miku says, I don't think Port Elizabeth has stars. Indeed, yeah. We seem to run out of stars there. Dougal says, I was thinking vector from Alcat. Yeah, how far out's Alcat? That's 80-mile range, so that's what, 40, 50 miles out. So actually what I think I'll do, I mean the realistic option here is to do ALCAT and out. But actually I think let's do procedural. We have the time. I think I'm going to do a procedural approach. Just to make things... Procedural is what you would do, by the way. If there's no air traffic control or no radar. Now, I think there is a radar at Port Elizabeth. What frequencies do they have? We don't do it very often, but yeah, they have an approach. But I'm going to do the procedure, which means we're going to join the overhead at Papa Echo Victor, enter the hold, and then fly the procedure. Now let's see if I can get this to code in the box. So we've got Papa Echo Victor, and then center fix, final fix. And then that's the go around. Doesn't have the procedure in there. That's quite something. That's quite something. That's not going to stop me though. I know what I'm going to do. We're going to have Papa Echo Victor. I'm going to put a hold in at Papa Echo Victor, which it's got. Quadrant east 088. That's an American way of writing it. We would go 268 left, 268 left turn inbound, 1 minute legs, which it is, max 230 knots, and minimum hold of 3,000 feet, that's fine. Target speed 230 at 3,000. So 3,000 a bit low, I'm happy to enter it hold higher than that. So is that, where's that been put in? Right, that's from the go around, so let's get this right. So we'll go back to the hold. I think Boeing's a bit confusing with all this. We go to the next hold. I'm going to take my upcoming Papa Echo Victor. I'm going to put it in the bottom left into the hold page. Then I'm going to re-enter the information. 268 inbound course, left turns. 268 / left. 1 minute legs. And the procedural ILS starts from the VOR at 4,000 feet and then you descend outbound. So I'm going to put the target altitude 220. Is there a speed? Max 230. And descending the hold to 4,000. No, so we do 230 at 4,000 as our planned hold. Execute. So now if I go to legs, we have Papa Echo Victor, and I'm hoping hold at, and then it's got nothing, and then it's got the center fix. So what I'm going to do is, you could be really cheeky. The hold, you could just extend the outbound leg to 10 miles while you're sat in the hold. We could try that, see if it works, and fly outbound. Alternatively, what I could do is put it into track. Now I say that very confidently. Let's see how you would do that in a 737. Doesn't have FPA, does it? It's only got vertical speed. So I'm going to have to fly it in heading cell. It doesn't have a track option. That's a shame. 787 Airbuses all have that, obviously, and triples even. But that's fine. Do it in heading cell, and then we can track outbound to 10 miles. And then make our left turn and inset. That's quite a tight turn. But I'm going to try just extending the hold. I reckon that'll work, actually. So there we go. So we're going to fly it procedurally. We've missed the top of the descent there. So let's put our TCAS to below. Make sure no one's beneath us. There's no weather directly beneath us. Traffic is coming up behind us. But there are plenty behind us. It's interesting, it should have a full plan now to get us to Papa Echo Victor at 4,000 feet. So this profile should be accurate. If we go to, let's just have a think about this. How far away are we from the air? Oh look, we got a vertical profile as well. That's cool. Didn't know we could have that. Fancier than the triple now. However, I don't really want to see it. There we go, because it's in the way of the weather radar. 80, 90 miles from 30,000 feet. So yeah, I think we're not far off descending. So let's start as usual with 10,000 feet in the window. I'm just going to press VNAV now. Get it started. It says retard, VNAV speed. Oh, Drag that because that's taking far too long. 10,000 feet, please. Good, and down we go. That is the flight level. And this is the plan. So we're going to enter in the hold here, descending to 4,000 feet, then head outbound, descending to 2,500. And then once we get past there, we can turn down and descend to 1,900. Join the ILS in minimums today, 389. Arm, VNF speed, because it should effectively idle the thrust levers, which it has. Yes, so we've done the inbound course, 268. 389 minimums, that's what we need. Simply Tom says, could you set the hold, another hold out to 10 miles like the base turn asked for? Yes, that's exactly what I think I'll do. Yeah. Oh, I've gone wrong with the numbers as usual. Oh my goodness. Hmm. 380. Oh, look at this. We're really close. Unusually close for us. 389. There we go. And it's set both sides. Thank goodness for that. Okay. If we need to go around, it's straight ahead and then a left turn. So climb to 3,000 feet straight ahead, or on the 268 Papa Echo Victor. So we have the needle showing. That's good. At or above 2,000, we can make a left turn to the Papa Echo Victor hold. So straight ahead and then left at 2,000 feet. MSA safe altitude today is... not very clear chart, this one, is it? Up here, 2,600, 5,400, but 3,000 within 10 miles. So I'm going to go to 5,400. And the reason I'm going to say that is because if I get lost, that's the altitude I need to go to. That will keep us safe within 25 of the Papa Echo Victor. Good. It's looking good. In terms of fuel, we have loads of fuel. The weather's looking actually pretty decent. I know there's thunderstorms showing on here, but they don't seem to be light thunderstorms, rain, CBs. I mean, that's not a great, that would be a worrying, not worrying, but that would be an aegis that would make you go, huh, need to think about this. So do we have enough fuel? Realistically, we do, because fuel quantity 5.1 tons, expecting to land with 4.7, and our reserves were 4.1. So we haven't got loads extra, but we do have 2 runways available at this airport. They do intersect, and the weather's not great, so landing's not really assured. So you'd need to divert fairly sharpish. I don't know this part of South Africa well enough. Local pilots would know, but I can't believe the nearest airport is Cape Town, 1 hour 10 away. I strongly suspect that you would use a different alternate. If I do this, there's Cape Town. There you go. What's this one? That looks pretty good, Port Alfred. So you see, that is much closer. So that has could potentially, that's so much closer, that might buy us 45 minutes of fuel. Just nominate that as alternate, depending on the weather. Of course, if the weather over in this side was just massive thunderstorms everywhere, then indeed you would need to keep a better alternate. So it might be really nice to keep Cape Town. So if I was flying this for real and I knew the area better, I may well have kept Cape Town as the alternate and then added fuel so that we can hang around here and not have to go to Cape Town. But you need to give yourself options, because if the weather's bad here, then it may well be bad up the road. So we're slightly more limited on options than some other days, even if we're perfectly legal to be doing what we're doing. I hope that makes sense. There you go. Miku said you have East London, FAEL, and the weather there looks decent. Perfect. FAEL. There you go. So that solves that one. So if you have an alternate nearby with good weather, then you'll take that as your alternate. So we've actually got more fuel than we need. We're sitting high on the profile. I'm just going to speed intervene and force the airplane down. The Airbus would do this on its own. I do think that's a great thing on the Airbus that this doesn't do for some reason. Oh, there we go. Vumanim says, typically they would divert to East London, but Cape Town is usually an option for flights up there because they have a base. There you go. So maybe the company would want you in Cape Town. So another reason you'd need to take more fuel so you don't get caught out on that one. Oh, the grass runways where I was looking. That's what I mean. You need to know. You need to have the charts. Simply Tom says point bearing distance. Indeed, so we could put a point bearing distance in, but I think the easiest way, talking about flying this procedure, is to just extend the hold. We'll see if it works. I don't know if it will. I think it will. Dr. Dilkington asks, are there any features you missed from the Airbus MCDU after a few years on the Boeing? Yes, the Airbus has really good use of colour, so it's very obvious what's going on. It gives you clear information on the... See how this just says 4,000? The Airbus would show you the altitude you're going to actually make and whether you're going to make the restriction. It works really nicely. That's something I do miss. Otherwise, there's some things I like. Oh yeah, I missed the direct to page in the Airbus. Instead of where we go to the legs and then put it to the top, I quite like direct to on the Airbus. But I've gotten used to this, so it's fine now. But I do miss the fact that on the Airbus, when you do a direct, it automatically engages LNAV, which it just doesn't do on this aeroplane. Which I think is wrong. I think it should. So we're in VNF speed, which means we're trying to intercept, and we are slowly coming down to within the original profile it calculated. Tom Nichols, good to see you. Tom says back with the beer just in time for descent. Not bad Saturday evening. Excellent, thanks for coming along. Moonman says it's generally tight at Port Elizabeth. You always vacate at the end of the runway. 64.5 tons is very close to the max landing weight of the aircraft. It is indeed, yeah. This is a very unusually, Simbrief unusually loaded us very heavy. So, doing bearing distance, the problem we have is we don't actually have any weather coming up. I need to bring the range. You need to have the range in a little bit, 80 miles sort of maximum. It looks like there's some weather showing up over here. Right where we're going. This is what can happen. You start your descent thinking, oh, the weather's not as bad as we thought, and then it gets worse. I think we'll get rid of the HUD for now. Right, so here's Alcat, and we're heading next to the overhead at 300 knots, still 1,100 feet, so I'm just going to give it a bit more speed. Of course, if you started encountering turbulence, you'd need to slow down and we'd use the speed brakes. Looks like the worst of the weather's out past the airfield for now. Still looks alright here. But it's definitely got that air of ominous about it compared to where we've been all this time. But yeah, you start to have a lot of things to think about. Icing, bringing the flaps out in turbulence or in ice, how to avoid it, what the fuel situation is. It does certainly complicate your day weather, definitely. As you would imagine. I don't think we need the speed brakes yet, even though in a long-haul aircraft we probably would just deploy them straight away. But yeah, weather looks good so far. This is nice. This is very pleasant. FMC speed VNAV path. That's good. And then I can close the speed window and let the aircraft do it itself. It's not going to manage because it's got a long way to come back. So what we could find here is it could overspeed now. If that wind shifted suddenly, we could get ourselves into trouble. So let's just do the sensible thing. Let's help it out a little bit. So the speed brake's now coming out. Get that rumble. I don't know how effective they are on the 7.3. Does Flight Dr. Sim ever talk about it? They don't look very effective. They look like the A320 ones that are quite shallow. Simply Tom asks, Boeing VNAV is better than A320 VNAV? No. I think that's all I'll say. No, in my experience on the two Boeings I've flown, the VNAV predictions in the Airbus tend to come true a little better than they do in the triple or the 7.8. Now the 7.3, I don't know. Niku says, I've heard someone who's now a 777 pilot say the 7.3 speed brakes were pretty useless. Right, yeah. That's what I would expect given this image of how little they deploy. The 777 speed brakes are amazing. as are the 787 speed brakes. They're really amazing. They're so effective. You've got so much room for maneuver because you can just slam on the brakes and the whole plane just slows down. Or it doesn't slow down. You feel the lift get dumped straight away, and then the nose rises and the speed starts to wash off very fast. Whereas these look pretty subtle, just like the 320 ones are. Right, we're approaching 10,000 feet. Our safe altitude is 5,400, so I'm going to put that in for now. And we'll go on to QNH. Let's get the QNH. 1012. 1012. 1012. Drag required. It's almost there. Not bad, not bad. And as we go through 10,000 feet, landing lights on. Runway turn off. Let's put all the lights on. Oh, landing altitude's not 150. 50. There we go. So how's things looking? Pressure relation's good. Let's get the passengers sat down. Haven't had to use the anti-ice yet. That's 21 degrees. Wow, it's hot. It is very hot here. Simply Tom says the speed brakes on an NG work fairly well, but on the Max they just make the plane vibrate. Oh really? That's interesting. I wonder why they don't work so well on the Max. Besides that beach. Wow. That's cool. Yeah, how funny. I didn't know what good speed brakes were until I came onto the the 787. It's summer down there, I reckon, says Mayo Crane. Yeah, indeed it is. Cypher Wolf says, "Wow, FlySF Air had 320 sim pilot cards." Exactly, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I thought, well, we've got to get this airline on the channel. Chris says, "Thank you for reigniting my passion for aviation in my late 20s. Do you prefer the 777 over the 787, and would you ever see yourself going back to Airbus?" I certainly do see myself going back to Airbus. Absolutely, yeah. I would love to fly a long haul Airbus, get the full set. I make sure our speed brakes are away. The other part of the question was, do you prefer the 777 over the 78? I like both, different reasons. The 777 though is nicer to land, certainly, and it has great performance on takeoff. But the 787 is lovely once you're up in the cruise. So it's a balance between the two. The 787 cabin air is very nice. So for the long run, I would like to. I think I'd say the 787. But the 777 is a lovely machine. Okay, looks like the worst storm now is out to sea. I'm assuming this radar is somewhat representative, so I'm going to bring the scale in. I think we have got lucky here. Just some showers around. Green is no problem to us. I'm just going to try weather and turbulence. WXT +1 auto there. I don't know what the there is referring to. So that's auto tilt. There we go. I'll leave it at auto tilt. That seems like it's doing a fairly decent job. +1 is probably pretty representative of what we want right now. And we're coming out over the coast. We just need to watch out because it will slow down on us out of nowhere. And we have got colleagues coming behind. Lauren B says 737 pilots seem to like their VNAV and stay in it at all times, but the 777, 787 all seem to stay particularly at lower altitudes. VNAV often keeps you too high. On the 787, it's even the 777 is slightly better. On the 787, the VNAV, when you start your top of descent, based on the aircraft's calculations, based on the winds, the weight, the profile, you've got a couple of minutes, maybe not even, and it will say drag required, too high, too fast. It's amazing. It does it every time. The 777's better. I don't know why. I don't know whether they used similar numbers for both aircraft and the 78 is just more efficient, but the 787 really struggles. I also don't know if it's something to do with the way the 787 is so efficient. It is a bit too good at gliding, so it doesn't really manage the most vertical profiles that modern airports are designed with. you know, the 737 does, the 777 does. They've got a fair bit of drag when they need it, even without speed brakes. But the 78 is just so efficient. It just zooms along, and it comes in at such high speeds. I don't know if that's related, but I don't think so, because it does do it nearly every time. But once we're down, yeah, it's reversing to VS now anyway. Medium speed, so it's just dropped off the profile. And I don't like the way the Boeing is happy to just drop off the profile like this, and just it just gives up. I think it's crazy. Vuti, thank you so much, Vuti, for the £20 super chat. Appreciate it a lot. Vuti says, as a long-term follower of the channel, I love the fact, as a complete numpty pilot, I get to listen to professional ones sharing their views and experiences, learn every stream. Vuti, you've supported the channel so much, and it's great having you here as an active member of the community. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to have you a part of the stream. So thank you, and thank you very much for that very generous super chat. Really appreciate it. But I'm certain you're not a numpty pilot. You've flown along on plenty of flights, and it's not easy, you know, doing this on Flight Simulator all on your own. There's plenty of ways to miss things and for life to get difficult quickly. So yeah, it's no easy thing to do. So yeah, it's I think you should definitely give yourself some credit for that. But thank you very much for supporting the channel. Okay, there we go, 5,400. We're now within 10, so I can actually get down to 3,000, but we know that the procedure is to 4,000, so we'll go to 4,000 feet. And just to show you on the charts, we are here, 4,000 feet, minimum hold is 3,000, but we won't do that. We'll descend from 4 once we go outbound. So I'm going to do a hold entry, and then once we're in the hold, I'm going to extend it outbound. So Dougal, if you're following in behind, and our other colleague following in behind, the tower's now online, excellent. Dougal, if you want to, I'm going to descend to 4, so if you descend to 5,000 for now, you can enter the hold above us, and then we'll be level at 4 in the hold, and you'll be at 5, and then once we leave and go beacon outbound, you can descend to 4, and then you can go beacon outbound. That's how you would do it. That's what radar control would do it. Now, one thing I will do, unlike the Airbus, is I will start taking over now. I want to have control of the speed. So let's do 220 knots for the hold. Let's give it more bank angle, otherwise it's going to struggle. I'm going to give it full 30 degrees in case it wants to use it to intercept. I think that's what you do. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. And thank you again, Vuti, for the very kind super chat. Do really appreciate it. Con says, what made you choose the Sapphire Protest livery? So this is the only one available for 2024. Like I say, I'm struggling to work out what needs to be done to get a livery to work in 2024, because I want to update my ones as well, but there we go. Tower 181, excellent. Thank you. So we're not having enough speed. Coming to 4,000 feet now. 220 knots, window open. That's good. Let's let it fly the hold arrival. We've got Pushback 3 set. No, he says notably leaving the window open up to 10,000 feet. Yeah, it does happen. Cypher Wolf says 787 is a beautiful bird. Indeed, I agree. Any update on the fuel cutoff issues at India? No, I've got nothing else that. No information on that except what we've all seen, really. Lauren V says, I can say certainly many a time I've had an incident, many a time that would never happen with the second pilot. There you go. Exactly. And that's what I tell myself too on Flight Sim. There's some rain showers. Love it. Love that effect. That looks great. So we're 4,000 feet now. Dougal is very welcome into the hold above us. Let's just have a look at VATSIM. My VATSIM says no one's online. Ah, he's offline now, says Miku. There we go. Con says, I had both Springbok and Old Sapphire livery in 2020. Yes, indeed, but this was the only one that was in 2024, yeah. Sorry about that. Right, so we're now going inbound. I can see Dougal 1,400 feet above, but might be going straight for the ILS there. Chris says, what's the longest flight you've done to date in the 777-787? The longest flight I've done in one of those is I recently beat my record, and that's partly down to the 777 being slower than the 787. So the longest flight I've done is just over 15 hours. Yeah, long. That's a long flight. Oh, what a beautiful evening. So there's the airfield. That's runway 26. That's where we'll be going. I'm a bit worried that our colleague is actually heading straight to the ILS because as he saw us and run. Actually, no, that's probably just the way TCAS is formatting. So this time I'm going to go beacon outbound. So let's change the hold. See if we can be fancy here. Oh, hold. So Puppet Echo Victor, active hold, and I want the outbound to be 10 miles. Now 10 isn't quite correct, but it will do. There we go. 10 nautical miles. So let's do that. Now it has updated to the new speed, so it gets a bit tighter, I think, but we shall see. And I'll come back to the up speeds. There's another thing you tend to do in the Boeings is fly these speeds quite accurately, it seems. Chris said, I thought my 13-hour shifts were bad. Never mind controlling that absolute beast of a machine. Yeah, so if you think about it, a 15-hour flight, and then you've got an hour and a half at least before that where you are on duty. It's a long day. It's a long day. And then you have another sort of half hour after landing, because you've also got taxi time in that, so you could have an hour of taxi if you took both sides of it, and then you could extend it. Remember, long haul crews with 3 or 4 pilots in Europe can be on duty for, if they also do discretion, over 20 hours. Now that does, to get there, they have to have rest in the flight, so don't worry, they would have had some sleep, but even so, it is a remarkable thing to think about. 20 odd hours. I'm going to leave the heading bug, by the way. I know I'm going to leave it on the inbound so it's ready for our intercept. So we are now leaving the hold, so I would report beacon outbounds, and as we do that, and I'm reporting it over the live stream here straight to Dougal. Actually no, let's do it properly. Let's do it on 1228. But as we go outbound, we can descend now to 2,500 feet. Now this airport is... Oh, it is called Port Elizabeth on chart here. Okay, interesting. Port Elizabeth traffic, Safar 231, beacon outbound, ILS runway 26. Oh, I also need to actually begin the descent. Now the VNAV profile won't do that, but I'm going to start down now, so I can get out of the way of Dougal, in case Dougal does descend quite quickly on top of me. Vucci says, when the Antonov was flying, it had a permanent crew of 15. There you go. Goodness me, yeah. Typical Dutch says, 15 hours as passenger or crew, not sure what is the best choice. Keep sharp or drink champagne and sleep. Yeah, I think passengers for 15 hours is a pretty nice way versus operating all that time, definitely. But, and they, by the way, look, you can see our hold has actually lined us up neatly. Now we're not actually going to do that because that would take us around several times. We need to exit the hold soon. But anyway, it gives us some representation of what we're trying to achieve here. Anyway, what we're saying, yes, but being a passenger for 15 hours, at least you can relax. But you can't sleep for 15 hours, so you might find yourself watching quite a few films. Con says, I think this livery is only 1 month old. Oh, there you go. Excellent. Vivan says, I know the livery painter. He is working on converting them. Excellent. Good news. Wolfgang says, how do you pan the view and zoom so quickly and precisely? I'm using a mouse in the cockpit, and then I have chase plane to the exterior views, which gives us really nice views. Oh. I've somehow done the control wheel steering. How have I done that?
4 Elizabeth traffic, speedbird 322, commencing the outbound turn for the ILS 26, currently 5,000 feet.
Okay, Dougal's outbound behind us now. Hopefully we can get off the end of the runway quick enough. At least we're not trying to do a backtrack or anything like that. But that could be quite tight in terms of spacing, so Dougal might need to slow up a little bit. That 777's barreling down on top of us behind, I think. So I'll keep the speed up for now until we turn back in. RLSDME shows we're at 7.6 miles, so it's going to be quite a turn in, so we do actually need to slow down actually. So we'll go flat 1. And bring the speed back to 1. Because what I'm going to do is... actually, I'm going to ignore the L in just a moment. Why have I got CWS? What's going on there? Anyone can... CWSP. I don't actually know what that means. That's not a thing we can do on the 777. Flat 5. I'll come back to the 5 speeds. So I'll leave it on there for now because it will fly the left turn for us nicely. Oh, it's given up on vertical speed.
Traffic, speedbird 322, speed 180, will be extended downwind for traffic avoidance.
And Port Elizabeth traffic, South Air 231. That's copied. South Air 231 is now turning inbound, reducing speed to 170 knots, turning inbound for 26. So that's the 10-mile point. And what I'll do now is just convert over onto an incept. So it's runway 26. The inbound course is 268. So we want to do 298. I'll do heading cell. Now we need to actually get descending here. A, because we're going to cross over with Dougal. And B, because the platform altitude is 1900 feet and we're going to be a little too high by the time we get down there. So let's put 1900 in the window. We are visual. I want to give Dougal some clearance. Dougal's at 1700 actually, that's fine. So we'll do 1,000 feet. We're doing extra things here because we were doing the controlling. Look at that bank angle, really putting the G on the speed there. But it looks good. We're being blown onto the localizer as well. We're below the glide slope. In fact, so we can back off on that. But I will arm the localizer. Now I saw a video by a YouTuber saying that you don't need to arm the localizer first, you should always just press approach. That's true, it depends on the fit of the aeroplane, and so your airline will have its own SOPs on that. There's no rule either way. Straight into sun, that's a good excuse for landing. 737, short runway, straight into sun, let's get those in there. So yeah, so I'm going to arm the localizer only because it depends on the fit. Some airlines will have it set up where if I do approach, it is possible in some Boeings for the aircraft to actually use the glide slope before it's on the localizer. Airbuses don't have that problem, but some Boeings do. VOR lock, so now I can arm approach. Chris, by the way, Chris, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm so sorry I didn't answer that quick enough. But yeah, thanks so much, Chris, for the $4.99 super chat. Really, really appreciate it. With the little face saying wow. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry it took me so long to say that. Right, we're on VOR lock. VS. Glide slope's coming in. 170 knots to 7 miles. Let's start slowing down. Let's go gear down.
6,000 feet.
Flaps 15. Speed back to the 15 speeds. I'm going to arm the speed brakes for touchdown. Speed brakes are armed. Six miles, glide slope, put in the second channel, down we go, and let's go flaps 30. Such crazy approach speeds. And we're landing flat 40 today, so I'm going to go flat 40. Ooh, quite tight on the speed there. 'Simply Tom says, my airline's options don't allow the glide slope to capture before the localizer, and yet it still happened the other day. I started happily descending with full-scale localizer. There you go. There you go. So that just proves it, doesn't it? It is, even in aircraft where it shouldn't be possible, it can happen. I don't understand the 7.3 where this is how it's set up either. And it's complaining. It's complaining about the ILS signal there. There we go, command. Flare is armed, so it's looking good. Yeah, how we're so close to the flat limiter, but so far from the low speed range. Anyway, the replay is recording. We are here. Thank you again to Chris, and I'm so sorry it took so long to say thank you, but there we go. And we are on final approach now. 2 whites, 2 reds. Port Elizabeth traffic. Air231, final approach. 3 miles to land, runway 26, vacating at the end. Now we need to put the go-around altitude into the window of 3,000. So gear down, 3 greens, flap 40, speed brakes armed. We're going max reverse. Weather's lovely, so it's not contaminated. We're stable at 1,000 feet. Nose is coming up there. Now we've got to be careful because I need to disconnect the auto throttle as well on this aircraft, which I do find a little challenging. So let's do that now. It needs to be in the 60s because we are running a bit heavy. And we're full flap. Quite lumpy terrain actually. Autopilot off. Now it's a bit fiddly in Microsoft Flight Simulator with the glide slopes and the pappies. They're just so unpredictable. So this is a little more over controlling than you should be doing.
Minimum.
Speed's getting a bit slow.
50. 30. 20.
Idle.
10.
Touchdown. Max reverse. Holding the nose. Get the nose wheel down. Let the auto brake take the strain. Finally the reverse kicks in. Through 60 knots, idle reverse, auto brake out. But we don't want to coast too quickly to the end. Wow, that would have cooked the brakes. That my reverse, so having a bit of trouble with my reverse axes in this airplane. Not quite what I wanted. And here we are. We'll have a replay of that coming up shortly, but welcome to Port Elizabeth. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. What a fun flight. It's a shame we didn't really enjoy more of the scenery. Oh, I'm going to miss that if I'm not careful.
10 mile final, runway 26, Lisbon.
Oh, there we go. 2 was at 10 mile. We're absolutely fine. But yeah, awesome. Thank you all so much for coming along. Replay coming up very shortly, but what fun. And it's always great to go and see different parts of the world. So thank you for all your different stories and coming along to chat. It's always great fun. Yeah, a bit of a float there, but not too bad. We lost a little bit of speed just at final approach. It's not something I've ever done in the jet aircraft. I always forget that in the 737 you've got to disconnect the auto throttle as well, but there we go. Port Elizabeth traffic, Air231, runway vacated.
Good.
Right, off the runway, speed brakes down. I'm not going to do the flaps, of course, for the replay. We still don't have a native replay working in this sim. Lighting looks great though. The shadows and lighting in 2024 are super duper. Actually, that's not that great, having said that. There we go. Uji says, love the way at touchdown you vocalise your mental thought processes by rote years of training. Yeah, I hope it's interesting for you guys. It's just saying what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly. Not something I do at work, but I do it on the streams. Male Clan says you can solve the lock before approach problem by simply flying the MD-11 and thereby depriving yourself of the choice. Exactly. That's a very strange thing about that aircraft. Yeah. Nick says, thanks for the stream. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you here as well. Thank you so much. So there's Vuti currently at let's have a look. Vuti is currently at 1,400 feet on final. Let's see. We'll taxi in slowly and we'll see Vuti land. Well, our lucky customers will be going on safari very soon, or whatever they're doing on their holiday down in South Africa, if it is a holiday for them. Simply Tom says, if I may provide one piece of advice from a 737 pilot, we don't arm both autopilots if planning a manual landing. The plane will trim a lot of nose up at 400 feet for the automatic flare. Very interesting. Thank you very much. I will remember that for next time, hopefully. Very interesting indeed. So if you do both autopilots, it sets itself for a flare with nose up trim. So that would then mean if you disconnect it would be very awkward, I imagine, because it would be out of trim. So yes, which probably But yeah, that would be very bad news. Interesting. Thank you very much. See, it's funny, on the 777, we only ever press one button, one autopilot, and it would automatically prepare itself for an auto land in all circumstances. But what it does do is below 500 feet radar, it will try and... Oh, come on, truck, out of the way. Below 500 feet, the autopilot will try and kick off the crosswind and then put a wing down, and it has the same problem for us, whereas if you then want to manually land, it will be all out of trim and skew-if. Dr. Wilkington, thanks very much. Thanks for coming along. But yeah, thanks for that tip, Tom. Yeah, sack the ram agent indeed. I don't know what happened there. There we go. There's Dougal touching down. 777, what a machine. All pilots have to look at other airplanes landing. You can't look away. Are we going to miss touchdown though? There we go. Beautiful. Now, most exciting will be, does Dougal manage to stop on the runway? Because it was not the shortest runway. But do remember, flap 30, that 777 will have landed at a slower approach speed than this 737 did. Plus the fact it's got not just 4 extra wheels, it's got 8 extra wheels, so another 4 brakes to help it. So yeah, I think we can park up here. But well done, Dougal. Thanks for flying along. Awesome. I need to do another 777 flight. I think it'd be good fun. And there we go.
All Elizabeth traffic, speedbird 322, runway 26, vacated.
I'm just going to turn up my audio so that's in while I'm here, so I'll forget. And I'm going to say thank you very much for everyone for flying along, and thank you to our vaccine controllers for looking after us. I did have another colleague on approach. I'm not sure we're going to get a chance to see them. Can't see them on here right now. So I'm going to disconnect from VATSIM and we'll go to the replay.
Too low. Terrain.
It's very exciting very quickly. So gears down, flat 30. Right, let's have a look. As ever, the instability in the PAPIs. We get on final approach. So yeah, I shouldn't have reacted to it. It's quite a disorientating final. The ground seems to ramp up a little bit towards it. I wasn't expecting that. And we came in a little low over the threshold, I'd say. Didn't do any rudder kickoff. But yeah, reasonable. Not too much of a float actually. I find in Flight Simulator I tend to float a little too easily. I don't know if that's because there's that pressure, that vertical speed counter. But this here, into the flare, settle down. But you can see there, it's interesting. I had the airplane slightly, as I said, I didn't do any drift correction there. I didn't quite judge it properly. And you can see I immediately have trouble with the yaw and the yeah. Which is a thing. The grip is so strong in Flight Simulator's Microsoft Flight Simulator, both of them. Some airplanes it's not, but I think it's still a little bit too strong in this one. It immediately tries to drive me off the side. But you do want to kick off the drift, so it's good to force you into the right technique. But there we go. Right. Bit of final. Disarm those speed brakes. And rearm them for the touchdown. We're going a bit further back than this.
1,000.
Further than that. Let's get this set up for a nice video. And I'm going to say thank you all so much for coming along. Thank you to the moderators for looking after us. Thank you to those of you chatting along in the chat. Thank you to the people who very kindly donated to the channel. And thank you to everyone just watching along at home. I really appreciate it. Please leave a like on the way out. I forgot to say that at all today. So yeah, if you have been watching and enjoying, do please leave a like. It's been great to have you all here and to chat and answer questions and talk about things. There'll be more guides on the channel soon. I've got that video coming up in the SR71, like I say, across the Atlantic. Sorry if I've missed any questions. I don't mean to, but just sometimes when I'm streaming, suddenly time gets away from us and it's time to get on to the next exciting moment. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye bye.